Welcome
I
everybody
don't
to
know
another
who's
episode
next.
of Give Me a Break. We're here today to
Welcome
discuss,
everybody to another episode of
Give Me a Break. We're here important topic, which is why is the DNC broke? There's some conspiracy theories out there. There's some real theories, and we're gonna get into it. I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna let everybody introduce themselves, and why don't you introduce yourself and then go ahead and give your intro as well, just to speed things along because I feel like this might be a contentious panel. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, Average Debate Enjoyer just moved to YouTube, so YouTube/Average Debate Enjoyer. Same on Twitter, and everything I say is right. Anyone disagrees with me, they're wrong by default. We should pretty much just wrap it up now. Have a good one.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Grid.
That was actually kind of base, Tyler, except you're usually wrong, and whoever disagrees with you is absolutely right. However, I'm Grid One Motorsports. I represent the angry gun-toting, meat-eating fucking people, and I'm here to talk about why the DNC seems to be a little short on resources. I think they have a lot of cash, probably, but because we don't know where all the bodies are buried yet. But we'll find it. And other than that, we'll talk about this. We're gonna have some great times tonight.
Fantastic. Appreciate.
You can find me at an Unreasonable Man on YouTube and Twitch.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Var.
Yeah, I'm Jake Var. I run a YouTube channel called Project Veopod, so you can check that out on YouTube as well as Rumble, and you can find me on X and Instagram as Jake Var. Just type in my name, you'll get me there. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much, non-smoker.
You'll get me there. So
hey, twitch.tv/non_smoker radio host, communist. I hate the Democratic Party.
Nice.
Okay.
I feel like you'll get some agreement on the hate of the Democratic Party from a few people here.
Socrates,
go ahead.
Sweet to the point.
Hey everybody, glad to be here today. I'm Socrates at Socrates TV on Twitch and on YouTube. YouTube Real Socrates. Twitter, although I need to move over to Blue Sky. Yeah, I mean, wait, are we giving like a quick opening to the prompt as well? Okay. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. All the polling suggests that that Democratic voters want more progressive policies, and they think that the establishment wants more conservative policies. So the disconnect is there, and they're seeing Democrats not really fighting Trump the way they need to be. So it seems pretty straightforward. But it's fine. We're going to get a lot of right-wingers who hate the Democrats telling us that we need to be more conservative. So that'll
You need to be more conservative, bro.
Yeah.
Good call. We're starting off great already. All right, and the soy pill.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? I'm the soy pill. I joined because I heard that there's a bunch of people who think that the DNC isn't being funded because U.S. aid cuts or some other crazy conspiracy. I thought I'd jump in because if you read 2 articles, you'll know that's not true, or just know that the funding is totally fine or in a totally fine spot. It's kind of interesting hearing all these crazy opinions, but yeah, let's have some fun.
Yeah, and actually that's a perfect segue into the opening of the topic. I think before I let you go at it, there have been some interesting conspiracy theories. Some of them are claiming that USA not funding the NGOs anymore is now causing the DNC to be broke. There's some more pertinent, I think, real world theories that are, I think going to come into play. Like we've heard people say the approval rating's low. It's the
Gibb,
topics, all these things.
On Twitch. Mute yourself on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. And, so there's a lot of these things I think that are going on. And rookie, it's my first time doing this. So there's a lot of these things going down. I think we're going to get into it. I'm pretty excited. What are y'all's reasons? What is the most prominent reason you think the DNC is hurting for funding right now? Because they went from record highs to record lows for funding.
I would go with, personally, 2 reasons. One, there's a civil war in the party after the lost election. The leftists are trying to seize power. The DNC, Democratic National Socialists, or whatever the fuck they're called, versus the establishment right now. And in that, what they're doing is pushing a Palestine narrative that is isolating the number 1 donating constituent in the United States, accounting for 2% of the population, yet 10% of the individual political donations. The Jewish voter generally is about 80% in favor of Israel. So hearing things like Globalize the Antifada coming out of candidates is not turning them on to wanting to donate for the party.
Yeah, that's a really strong point there. People really hate Zohran Mamdani. They were considering him an anti-Semite. So he's losing all support, not getting funding. Wait, sorry, is that true, or did he get the most funding anyone has ever gotten running for mayor?
We're not talking about him.
New York
We're
City?
talking about the party itself.
The party itself. Like, so who are you talking about then? Who's a candidate?
We're talking about the war chest for the 2 parties.
Who's a candidate? You said that candidates are saying stuff like about
He's one of the
Intifada.
candidates saying stuff, but it's
He got record funding
a
of anybody
microcosm
ever.
of the party as a whole, because when you have 29 senators voting to defund weapons to Israel, when you have people saying that it's a genocide and things of those nature, you're signaling to the most pro-Israel group that also does the most donations per capita that you don't want their support, and they're turning on the party.
Not the most pro-Israel group. You have like Christian nationalists and evangelicals who love Israel, but who's this candidate who's saying that? So he's saying it and he's getting funding, but he's losing everybody else their funding. I don't quite get the.
Yes, because it's a very local district in New York City. It's a tiny, but by comparison to the rest
New York City doesn't have any Jews in it.
Guys, before we keep going deep into this, Tyler, do you have any evidence that there are donors that are withholding funding because of the narrative on Palestine?
Well, let me ask before you answer that.
Like maybe one of them said it, or maybe a group of them said it.
Let me just ask this real quick of the panel. Do we all agree that the DNC, like when we're talking about the funding, I do mean more like the war chest, but I do think Socrates brings up an interesting point here. If the specific candidates are getting the funding, doesn't matter. Do we all agree that the DNC right now, like it's established fact, they're hurting for funding for the first time in a while, like overall? Is that something
No, it's not in the established fact. I can actually read you a quote from an article here. So I thought it was. I mean, obviously they're being outfunded by the Republican Party, but it turns out this is kind of precedent for parties that lose. People get disheartened, especially on the last campaign where they raised more money than in a really long time and saw that go nowhere and saw the directionless kind of DNC not do what they wanted with that money. But here's just a quote from CBS News. The Martin-led, so Ken Martin, head of the DNC, has succeeded, however, in raising more money than the National Party organization did at the same stage in 2017 after their first loss to Trump. And in a recent news release, the DNC shared its finding that contributions during the first 5 months of Martin's leadership are $2 to $1 raised in the months after the 2016 election cycle. So apparently we're doing better than the loss in 2016. Obviously, we're hurting for funding insofar as Republicans have like 50 billion more, but this doesn't seem to be like some drastic dire situation. In fact, it's doing better than the recovery in 2017. So I thought this whole thing was kind of a weird prompt.
Cool. Yeah.
Interesting.
Did any of the other examples borrow money to pay for their campaigns after they lost?
Any examples? What are you talking
Like
about? Specific?
The Democrats, after 2020, the Republicans, did they borrow money after they lost the presidential cycle to fund the next upcoming campaigns like the DNC is discussing currently?
Potentially. I don't know if they have or didn't. I know we're doing that now. Yeah.
I can't see that.
I mean, hold on. I'm just asking here because I honestly don't pay that much attention to the DNC and their wallet. I'm not a pocket watcher per se, but wasn't it like a real issue with the way Kamala's presidential campaign was funded, and it was short? There were people that were owed money, and something like $1.6 billion was raised.
It was
still short.
Yeah, it was $2 billion, and they were still in debt. So, yeah, especially because I think there was a couple of celebrities that weren't getting paid for their campaign.
Right. I remember that. Yeah. It was. They came forward after that and said, "Hey, we were
we're still owed
X amount of money. We've got a contract here. They haven't paid us." Would that be a strong enough signal for you, Soy Pill? I'm just curious.
That people weren't getting paid right away. No, I have no idea how the exact inner workings of who and what gets funded within these. But if they were like, deeply in debt, I think that would be more widely reported on. I think there were maybe some troubles with payments and now they've been resolved. But if you can show me,
consider deeply in debt,
like they have no money.
So I'm seeing like money, 20 million.
Sorry, one more time.
I don't know who was trying to speak. I shut up.
Britt, you said, what would you consider in debt? Can you clarify?
Yeah, I was asking. I said, would you? I mean, if it was $500,000, is that like significant?
$500 million? Yeah, if they were $500 million in debt, that would $500,000 would not even be like a blip on the map. That's less than 1%.
Okay. All right.
Is that the reported amount they owe?
No, I have no idea. I'm just kind of curious where at what level. So does it need to be like $250 million?
So right now, the coffers, as of, like the reporting says, they have like what, 50 million? Let me bring up the number.
50 million.
Here. It was something like 50 million. I think the RNC.
I just looked it up. It's 50 million in debt after the election.
They're 50 million in debt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't see that they're
unpaid. Yeah,
So
post-election
I see that
period,
the
nearly
DNC
50
has
million.
almost 40 million in like surplus right now. Now, if they owe 50 million, that means they're negative, 10, 13 million in debt or something. I don't see this debt number anywhere, but maybe you could show it to me. I don't think they're struggling for cash. They're raising cash at a faster rate, and I think it's midterms approach. They're going to be raising more cash. So
Yeah, I see 72 million in cash reserves, but it's like a lot less than the RNC.
What is the average? Do y'all have an average? Because everything I've seen says
Well,
they're dead.
I
That's a
don't
good
know
question.
that this
Dead,
is
they do
an
that.
average. I don't know that this is an average, but so I have a chart. Let me I'm gonna
Just put it in the group chat.
post. I'm gonna put. Yeah, I'm trying.
Well,
Give me a second, man.
So yeah,
I
while
got
you
a
do that,
quick
like
can
let
you
me.
just link like the idea that they're in debt? I don't see that anywhere, especially in all the articles I was reading about them, like struggling compared to the RNC in
well, I
terms of
don't think
raising
it's
money.
as-
But like I just where's this coming from?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have way more cash on hand than like. Okay, I'll put something in the chat. I mean, I'm seeing like 70 versus 30 million in like 2016 or
So
2018.
this is a chart that I just had generated, just based on the averages of what they've had over the past few years.
Okay.
So that obviously it's what's reported. I don't know. We lost somebody.
We'll get it back. Anyway, just keep going.
Obviously I can't verify this because this is what is reported, not not what's real or what we might know is real. But it does show that there's a pretty steep decline in funding.
I don't. Yeah,
I
don't know what this is.
This is funding in millions, DNC yearly funding, and there's first of all, there's no year for 2025, and the year's also not over yet. So I don't know why this would show.
Yeah,
anything.
right. The last year mentioned is 2024,
Mm-hmm.
and
where did you get this?
So that would be.
He said
I just generated it based off of. I just basically
like you asked an AI.
Did a search. Yeah, I just did a search and said, hey,
Okay,
what are the averages? And then I threw it.
Don't use AI to like generate you like those are always wrong. Every time.
I mean, the numbers are the numbers.
This as like a just as like a caution.
Well,
I didn't use. Never mind. It doesn't.
Well, I don't have the debt numbers. All right, so like in front of me, but I do have a lot of articles from like CNN, the New York Times that I can post that are saying that they are hurting for cash. There's cash crunch. There's the disparity of cash between the Republicans and the Dems. I see one here from the end of November saying, I mean, I don't know how this gets pretty old then, but they're saying they're worried about Harris's money tensions rise between Harris team and the DNC. They don't want to take on the debt from the Harris campaign. So it seems like there are some sort of money problems, whether they're fundraising, whether they're debt, whether it's like a combination of like factors at different levels, like one candidate's debt, the DNC doesn't want to cover it, or some kind of thing. So we can let's just lay this down. I think we can argue there is some kind of financial situation in the DNC that's not good. Why do we think that is? I guess is my question going forward.
Just to rephrase that into exactly what's happening, the DNC has a lot of cash, a lot more than previous years, but less than the Republican National Convention. Right, we're all agreed on that. If you look at opensecrets.org, I put it in the chat. If you just look at different years, 2024 is like 100 million cash on hand. 2022 is like 87 million. 2020 was 108 million. 2018 is like 36 million. 2016 is 34 million. 2014 is 20 million.
Well,
so they're
it's
like
2025 numbers that we're talking about now, right now, not the election year numbers, because they spend a lot of money in the election. So,
well,
just real quick before we move on, Grid, like the stuff you shared, it doesn't even go to 2025, and the numbers that on the website don't match up to your graph. So I just doesn't
I don't
make
have
any
the number
sense.
for 2025. I don't think it's been released.
No, but not even that. Like the total raised, like from this website on opensecrets.org, it just doesn't even correlate to the graph at all. So I don't know how the AI grabbed the data, but this is why
I'm not familiar with opensecrets.org, so I can't.
Did you not link? Oh, I'm sorry, Socrates linked it. But regardless,
I
it looks like it does not match with the actual funding. So again, the funding is more than it would have been in 2017 at the same stage and the post-election, post-big loss. So you can kind of see that. I mean, if you go look at post-election loss for most parties, the funding's going to be lower. People are disheartened. People are looking for answers. It looks like they're recovering, and I can bet that we'll probably be back on track by midterms, especially with the way that the current admin is going, and people are going to get pissed off. Like,
yeah, they can make the recovery. I'm positive they can, but the question is actually, why are they having trouble now?
I just told you, because we lost. Because we lost, and that's kind of a precedent of whenever you lose a big election, general election, people get really disheartened and they don't want to donate as much. DNC specifically, the leadership is having internal troubles with the David Hogg situation. The leftist infighting. He wants primary people, get more progressives up there, and their fight. They got him out through some stupid technicality that he wasn't a girl. Like there are problems. People are looking for leadership. There's obviously issues with the Democratic Party right now, but this is not like unprecedented anyway.
So you do agree,
historical recovery,
you do agree that they are in debt though right now, currently, right, Soypill?
I that might be true. I haven't seen that.
Okay,
anywhere. Could you show me?
Right.
Well, yeah, where
because there's tons of articles on it.
Well, okay. Well, you post the articles in the group chat. Let me ask you this, Soy. So, so you're against the perception that I put forth, the idea that I put forth, and it seems like some of the others on your side here might not be totally against that. I'm totally with you on that. But since you are against this idea and you think there is recovery, all right, what are some of the problems and why are you hopeful they're going to change going into midterms? Like you mentioned leadership.
Yeah,
like,
it's what I just said. The leadership, like the people, are especially the bigger donors, are like, hey, like we're not sure how you're spending this money. I mean,
well, what is your
I'm sure everyone here. Well, let me finish because
sure.
I think everyone here probably would agree that like, spending however many millions on like what was it, Megan the Stallion probably wasn't the best use of campaign money in that like very short amount of time. Maybe should have had more ads. But yeah, I mean, obviously, primarying people, or at the very least like putting people into leadership that are giving a coherent, structured message going forward. And right now Chuck Schumer doesn't have that, Hakeem Jeffries doesn't have that, and the other up and coming people, Slotkin, are not doing what the people want. So that's why you look at people like Ro Khanna and all these other people that are kind of like the up and comers. They're not the young people, but they actually have like a coherent message. So
yeah, but who do you think is who would your ideal leadership be? Like, just if you were going to put forth something, just I don't know, for funsies.
Ideal? I mean, again, like anyone who has a coherent message and a platform. Ro Khanna, I'm biased because I was just like with him for like a month, but it's not.
Yeah, be biased. We like bias here.
What about Fetterman?
Maybe if he has a stroke and changes party like alignment a little bit more.
It flips like every stroke. I don't know.
Yeah. He needs a couple more to really get to where I need him to be.
That's a really sad situation.
Yeah. I know you like Fetterman. Sorry, Tyler.
That's rough. Do you think maybe that Soros is deciding to spend his money infiltrating the Republican Party or the Libertarians or whatever, and is not supporting the Democrats in the same way? Maybe the big donors like that have just decided to change tactics. I know that Soros made a hold on. I wasn't done. I know that Soros made a public statement about how it was cheaper for him to buy a dozen or whatever prosecutors or state attorneys who actually interpret the law versus one president. So maybe they just changed their alignment.
Could be different priorities.
Wait, as crazy as that might sound, Tease, it's funny because like Soros is the whole Soros conspiracies are silly, but the idea that big donors aren't giving as much money, that is true to my knowledge. Big donor, like 6-7 figure donors, are not donating right now. It might pick up again. Next year probably, but in terms of like infiltrating the RNC to subvert it, hey, hit me with the source.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. You're just speculating. What do you think? Like,
no,
I do want to ask actually. What do you think? Like, who George Soros is, and like, what's his agenda? What does he want?
I have no fucking clue, and I don't care. All I know is that I was just reading I mean, for the purpose of this argument, it's irrelevant. But
if the conspiracy is to be believed,
the Soros statement that he's attempting to infiltrate or influence and I'm using the word infiltrate. I believe that that might have been in a New York Times article, but I'm not going to bother to go find it. You don't have to believe me on it. I don't care.
I mean, what you said is that the money could be maybe better spent to effectively promote progressive causes, which that could be true. Well, but that's a question of tactics. This has nothing to do with alignment.
A couple of years ago, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, Soros said that he wasn't funding the presidential election because it was a waste of money and his money was spent better locally.
Locally, yeah.
That makes
by-
sense.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
didn't he invest like so many billions of dollars through local elections?
Yeah, he
That's right.
went out and
That's how
and
he built a lot of the
basically was-
Democratic base.
well,
yeah,
okay.
he was trying to buy the but he was
Well,
promoting.
I mean,
the-
what do y'all say the
prosecution.
argument is here, though? Just so I'm clear, because I'm not really
I
a
would say-
conspiracy theorist, but are you arguing, is what you're saying right now that the reason is Soros is not giving the money to the Dems, he's like doing a new plan? Is that the argument that you're making? I'm having a little trouble following this one.
What it started at is a good point. I think it's the party civil
I
war
just-
with David Hogg and things like that. Donors don't know what faction of the party is going to win out.
And which
Talking to
faction
me?
should win out?
Were you talking
Personally,
to
I'm
me, Gibb?
biased toward.
Yeah, I don't
Biden's
really
liberal.
understand. Well, it's two things. I want to talk about that, but let's come back to that. I do. When you're talking about this, is that the point that you're making, Grid? About the Soros thing? Is that you saying he's
Yeah, I
not
just think that
funding the Dems and now he's funding other
they
groups?
may not be. Yeah, they may be funding different opposition groups. They may be funding independents more, that sort of thing. I don't know. I'm just the Soros thing is just something that's kind of documented with the statement that he's no longer interested in backing presidential or even congressional seats. He's not spending the money there. He's spending it locally, and so that's taking money away from the actual DNC, right? Because he can just spend that with their local.
Could you
office.
quantify that, Grid? Do you think it's tens of millions? Do you think it's billions? I
do
this
want
is
to
like
know.
a
That's a good
completely don't get me wrong. I know that he's trying to probably focus on smaller elections, but this is just like completely wild, shot in the dark kind of speculation. If you have some,
I'm not speculating. He literally said that. I'm not speculating. That's
sure,
what
but
he
if this is
said.
the reason the DNC is struggling for funding,
I
that's
said
very
it's
different.
a reason.
Okay,
well,
well, so I
haven't given
to it,
them
but-
this year. That's a reason. That's like the $10 I would have given. That I
Jake,
gave
go,
last year,
Jake,
so.
go ahead. What are you saying?
No, I was going to say, I think Soypill makes a good point about, after they lost the election, essentially in a landslide, it would make sense that a lot of these people kind of have to back off on that. But then going to Grid's and Tyler's point here is that how the Democratic Party is kind of a bit divided right now between the communist movement that's happening in New York, along with Democrat moderates. They don't even know who the leaders is. I wanted to ask you guys, can I ask you, who's the leader of the Democratic Party at this point? Who are you guys going to put up? Because from what I've seen, they've been talking about AOC. They've been talking about Gavin Newsom. Now, these are two different ideals here. Who is the leader of the Democratic Party?
Just to clarify, are you talking about, when you're saying leader, are you talking about who
Who's
they're
the
going to
main
put up as a
contestant? Yeah.
presidential candidate, or are you talking about
Sure.
the kind of thought leader?
Who would be? Yeah,
the same.
let's do it with both. Who's the
Yeah,
actual
both.
thought leader, and who do you think they're going to put up in 2028 against probably more than likely JD Vance?
Oh,
Sure.
well,
I mean,
hold on
go-
there. I don't think JD Vance wins the primary, personally, but we're going to keep going.
so
I don't know who they're going to put up against.
Yeah,
but
that's a
I
different
wanna
topic
ask-
for a different
Rubio!
time. We can come back
It's
to
a
it.
different topic.
Go,
It's a
yeah,
different
go ahead.
But-
Sorry, go ahead.
But I do want to ask, who is
Sorry.
the leader at this point, the thought leader, and who do you think is going to be put up in 2028 against the Republicans? Who do they go for? Who do they donate to? Because I don't even know. I don't even know who's y'all's leader is.
And who do y'all want?
That's a great
And who do y'all
question.
want?
Yeah, I mean, so we can look at people that are really actually connecting with voters. So all the polling suggests that Democratic voters want a more progressive policy, more progressive person. And the people that are connecting really well are people like Zoran Mamdani, like Kat Abu-Ghazala, David Hogg, AOC, like Bernie Sanders. Those are the people who are actually speaking directly to the things that are happening now, or pushing for things that help regular working all people. And at the same time, the polling suggests that they feel like the establishment or the DNC is kind of in opposition to a lot of those things, is in opposition to universal health care, job guarantees, things like that. And then just to answer in terms of who might get put up as a presidential candidate, I think Pete Buttigieg is pretty
You really think Pete Buttigieg should? I don't think he has a shot, man. If they're going to put him up there,
it's who is it? It's him. It's Gavin Newsom. I think
Gavin Newsom has more of a shot because Gavin's a lot more charming. He could speak. He speaks very well. He's a better, debater on stage.
He's more
kind of reminds me of a Barack Obama-ish guy.
I don't know if he's a little bit more hot-headed maybe than Obama ever was. He's contentious. He's a fighter. I mean, people like that. I don't know.
He's got a lot of baggage from California. Anyone speculating on who's going to be the primary front runner in 2028 is just like shooting a dark again. It's like
that's why I'm asking you.
Let me just reframe this real quick because I want to go to Soy Pill and I want to go to Tyler with this question, right? Because we came to the Civil War topic a little bit earlier than I was expected to in this convection. But all right, so. Yeah, I mean, we had a MAGA Civil War just like last week.
Marvel movie.
Yeah, I'm saying, well, maybe. But let me ask you this. So I was kind of asking that to you earlier. I agree with you. Speculating who's going to win 2028 primary like now is ridiculous. For either side. But I do want to know, like, who do you think is the leadership, or who do you think, like, what is the message? Like, do you think y'all should go more progressive, or do you think, like, what I know Tyler's going to be the opposite side and say y'all should go more center? What do you think is the solution here? And then we'll go to Socrates as well. I know, like, from my lefties here. What are y'all's prescriptions?
Yeah, no. Obviously, I mean, you can see that there are hyper progressive candidates winning, like Mamdani. The thing is, though, this is to Tyler's point. This is localized, and what I think is going to happen, especially running around with the campaign with Ro Khanna and it was Clyburn and a bunch of other people in South Carolina. I think there's going to be a pretty major toning down of a lot of the more what people might call woke messaging, not because they don't want to support it, but because they know that people see it and they get really poisoned. If you go to all these Baptist churches I was going to, people were not so much of a fan of the LGBTQ rhetoric, which means instead of throwing trans people under the bus, what's probably going to happen is they're going to switch to a more populist messaging so they can lift those people up without specifically calling them out and poisoning the well and letting the right run rampant with it. So I don't know if that means they're going to be more moderate. They might actually be able to do that with more populist takes, but I know for a fact they're probably going to shift a lot of the messaging that you might have seen from like 2020 to 2024. I don't think you're going to see nearly so many marginalized people front and centered, which is not great, but that, if you want to call that a moderate shift, I think they might do that.
Did you just call Mamdani a progressive? He's a communist, right?
Populist, sock dem, whatever you want to call him.
I think a progressive. Yeah, he's pretty progressive.
Well, you said progressive.
What would you call him? A communist? Why is he a communist?
Can we talk about this?
He says he's a communist. Didn't he say he's a communist?
Did he say that?
I believe he did.
Okay.
I mean, maybe not.
I definitely heard him call himself a socialist.
Let me
go. I want
to go to Tyler, and then I want to
call him a communist. I wouldn't think that he would be, but he definitely did call himself a socialist.
We can listen. I don't want a definition debate with Donnie right now. I want to get through this real quick, and then we can move on to the next thing.
He did. So, he said, "quote No, I am not a communist."
Okay.
Exactly what a communist would say, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly what a communist would say.
So let's go to Tyler. Then we're going to Socrates.
Socialist.
Let's go Tyler and Socrates. Now come to the conservative side, but because I want to hear, like, I know he's got the opposite position of what Soy Pill said. So let's go to him, and then we'll go to Socrates as the walk out here.
Right now, looking at the polling out of the second quarter of 2025, Kamala Harris, out of the top 7 people, is the only one besides Elizabeth Warren eligible to run. I could see Harris or Warren being a shoo-in, but that would be like looking at Jeb Bush back in 2015. I could easily see someone like Fetterman, Shapiro, or Gretchen Whitmer walking into that spot and doing a pretty solid job because they need to win the Rust Belt. Those Rust Belt states are pivotal for them to win the election. Getting somebody from the Rust Belt that understands it is probably their best chance of taking those. I would think that's the best. They already have, like, the idea that they need to go more further to the left and adopt a lot of unpopular policies. I can name 4 I have written down here. Their stance on illegal immigration. There's multiple sanctuary states. Their stance on trans. There's multiple trans sanctuary cities and states now. Their stances on defund the police. Right now, Mamdani is for defund the police. Several cities have done it and still say they're behind it. The DSA is also super behind it. And the last one being Palestine, which is a little different because that movement, unlike the rest, started out extremely unpopular and is now growing in support versus the other ones that started out super popular and shrinking in support. So I could see that one not actually reaching its cap yet. We could see that one being a... But I'm looking here right now. Stacey Abrams is more popular than AOC. And she is an election denier, like flat out. So I don't see any progressives in the top 10. I see Al Gore, Tim Walz, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Elizabeth Warren. I think they're going to get a moderate. They cannot get progressive.
Tyler, I think those numbers have changed. I remember when the election first happened and they lost the election. I remember AOC was sitting at the top of that list.
I saw one poll
I
was at 42%. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think 6 months later, I'm pretty sure that the more moderate Democrats have kind of reached in. So I could believe the stats now, but I do remember recalling AOC being very much popular, along with some other progressives like Bernie. So I'm sure they've lost popularity for the past 6 months.
Let me Tyler, when I say move left, I don't mean most of those things you just brought up. I mean defund the police. Even Mamdani isn't like, hey, let's get rid of the police.
No,
he once talked about the idea of, by the way, this is why I think it's a terrible slogan, but moving funding from the like $1 billion NYCPD to like some more social programs, which is a very different
That's
concept.
social workers.
But
that's what defund the police is.
Well,
social
workers.
Some
also
people, when
social
they say defund the
programs.
police, they mean get rid of the police. So you capture all of those people.
Yeah.
Well, if you defund the police,
abolish the police. I'm aware of that, but that's what people perceive it as. But the like all the other stuff of like, hey, the Palestine stuff. First of all, like I think right now Palestine, like you said, movement is polling pro-Palestine, not pro-Israel stuff. This isn't really what I mean by they're going to move more left. I mean, they're going to move to messaging that is more encompassing of everyone. It's like, hey, just talk jobs, just talk economy. They're not going to be focusing as much on marginalized groups because they realize that that might hurt their chances, like you said, in the Rust Belt. But that's not, I don't know if that counts as moving moderate.
Well, let's go to Socrates. What do you think they should do? So he obviously wants to go more moderate, so always a little further. Where do you fall on this? What do you think the solution is here? What do you think is a better option?
Yeah, I mean, first, I do just have to say, Tyler, the things that you were talking about are like a right-winger's view of what left policy is. There's only one city that's ever defunded the police. That's Camden, New Jersey. You can look into it. It's a pretty interesting case.
It's a lot. LA was one of the cities that did.
They defunded the police. They got rid of their police.
That's not defunding the police. Is cutting the police to reallocate resources to social workers. It doesn't mean getting rid of the police. That's abolished.
How much did they reduce from the previous year? Did they maintain or increase rather than a massive increase? Or
they cut
like
8 figures from the police budget in the next year and then refunded it a couple of years later when their crime spiked. And they did not ever hit the same amount of officers since they defunded.
Okay. Well, those are like those are more local policies, and those are just not. Again, those are just not things that people are talking about or doing like on
a big movement,
on a broad
though.
scale.
Abortion's a local policy thing now, and people talk about that all the time. Like local policies are a big deal. Almost all the trans bathroom bills are all local policies.
Abortion was just decided by the Supreme Court, no?
Yeah, but now it's a local thing, and it was the local thing.
Okay, that was the Supreme Court. That's kind of a federal thing, right?
I'm just saying, local. There is no local anymore with the internet. Small anecdote: Roy Moore represented the entire Republican Party, and the whole party had to denounce him and take his funding away and kick him out of his seat in order to.
Why did they denounce him?
I don't remember. Wasn't it a seat?
You don't remember?
He was a 17-year-old when he was 30 or something like that.
Oh, you're minimizing that. Okay, that's not a big deal.
I don't remember. I don't.
No,
remember. But the whole party, it's a local thing, and the whole party nationally had to go against it. There's a whole lot of.
It would suck for the whole Republican Party to have to disown someone just because they're a pedophile. That would.
Yeah, it's not a good precedent they set with Roy Moore now that their leader is being.
I don't believe in conspiracy theories.
But
the QAnon thing.
Donald Trump being a pedophile is not QAnon.
It's QAnon.
That's a local issue. Okay, that was just one island. Okay, guys. And the
go ahead, Socrates.
And the other pieces that, I'll just try to quickly get through these, and we can do some back and forth after. But the other things, like having lots of illegal immigration. This is not something that any Democrat is ever talking about being for. Kamala was running on like a pretty strict immigration.
Wait, but the Democrats would incentivize a lot of the illegal immigrants to come in. Like Biden literally had 10 million encounters at the border. To where compared to Trump, there's a lot of deterrence. So this is why it shot all the way down to 7,000 encounters a month.
2 months in a row where no undocumented were released.
So obviously the Democrats, when you talk about how like this
is
the open border,
true, right? We had an open border that Trump shot down. That was going to put a lot more agents at the border. I don't know what
hold on. But that bill happened in the middle of 2024. It was already like three and a half years worth of
Yeah.
200,000 per month at the border, man. It's
Okay,
not
well,
like
we're talking about right now, and you're talking about last year and saying that that's like
well,
not
yeah, because that's what
even
the
in
Democrats
scope. I don't
did.
know
I'm
what-
saying that they were giving incentives, right, with state
what
funded
incentives? What
tuition.
incentives to
Socrates,
illegal immigrants?
to their credit, regardless of the actual policies, which no one on the right gives a shit about, the perception of the left is that they're way too soft on immigration. And
Sure.
I think the left will probably pivot to be like, no, we really need to enforce this because they lost
Mhm.
on that issue.
Sure.
But yeah,
Sure.
they
Although
are soft
Trump
on
is doing really
immigration.
poorly on immigration polling, but
Yeah, for other reasons. you know.
I'm bringing up contentious stuff, but I do just want to like at least get on the record of bidding for these different things. And the other thing being like trans sanctuaries or whatever. Again, Kamal literally didn't talk about this at all. We are trying to promote civil rights, but again, this is kind of like a weird thing because Democrats really aren't pushing any bills. I know you said it's not about the bills, it's just about like culture war, talking point stuff, whatever, right? But Democrats aren't really pushing a lot of bills about this. It's the Republicans who are spending all of their time focusing on attacking trans people. That's the main party.
If it's a waste of time and nobody cares and it's not a big deal, why not just revert back to how it was 10 years ago? Then this is a gaslighting talking point. Kamala Harris not mentioning trans people for 2 months when it was her 15-year thing she brought up all the damn time. Nobody believed her. It was part of the
reverting back meaning
hold on. We let you get your whole thing out before.
No, you interrupted me.
No, I waited till you were done. So Kamala Harris was also on record lying about Biden's age 15 times and going after Robert Hur, who was correct. Yes, about Biden's age issue.
Okay, what is this?
About him being non-cognitive. This has to do with the trust issue of the party. If she stops talking about something she was very adamant about for years and years, a decade plus, and for 2 months, nobody believes her. She didn't denounce it. She didn't say she was going to stop doing anything. She just didn't bring it up.
Hold on. Let Socrates finish his point, and then I'm gonna open it up again after that. I want to get this. Go ahead, Socrates. Finish your point out.
So to talk about some actual leftist policies that are actually being pushed for, that are very, very popular, it's things like ending cash bail, providing generic drug alternatives, job guarantees, public internet, universal health care, things like this. These are things that impact like everybody everywhere, and these are the things that are leftist and are pretty popular, and these are the things that politicians should be pushing for. You know, on
public internet.
on both
They
sides.
should be pushing for public internet. That's instead of focusing on the border.
What's the question?
That they should be focusing on public internet. That's a policy that is very more popular and more important than the border.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
It is.
Hold
on. Okay, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So public internet. When you say that, like internet everywhere that's free, what do you mean public internet? Like free internet? What do you mean by that?
Sure. I mean, it should be a utility. It should be available for everybody. I don't know why not. Do you love Comcast? Okay. Like, what's the?
Yeah, I don't think internet is a human right or a thing that should be free, bro. But I do believe that the issue.
Each other a little bit.
Yeah,
I do think.
And first of all, we could do two things, right? We could do internet on the border, right? Like, there's no, I don't know, those are not directly in conflict. I don't get the, like, you can have jobs laying wire.
Right.
Like,
my question was that you believe public internet is more important to than get free internet, actually. So those are in conflict. Socrates, I hope.
You know that's true. Yeah.
Probably they already get free. Yeah, they get free tuition and home care, right? But okay. Yeah, I think that would be an issue. I think a lot of those incentives are very unpopular, even amongst moderate left-wing people.
Sorry, when you say incentive, you're talking.
Yeah, like tuition, healthcare. What do you call it? Housing. Healthcare, yeah, housing assistance.
Healthcare is unpopular,
and these are all for illegals. For
Dude,
illegals. Most people don't.
What is going on?
Just talking about policies that left people should promote. This has nothing to do with giving it to illegals.
Population of the U.S. right now? Do you think
I can't hear you, bro? Say that again.
What percent of the population of the U.S. right now do you think are illegal immigrants? Like 50%, 70%, 90%?
Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
If I had to guess,
wait, hold on.
If I had to guess, there's probably about 25 to 30 illegal immigrants in this country right now.
Let me just. Okay. Listen, I don't know. Listen, as much as I like talking about immigration, we know that's my favorite topic. We're not doing the
Yes,
immigration
why
debate.
not?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
fair enough.
That's the bar.
I'm just
Well,
kind of
that'll be a
shocked he
different
wants
day.
free internet is more
No,
important than the border,
listen.
but okay.
They're shooting people without internet.
Didn't say
It's
that.
just wild to me. That's all,
Well,
Gibbs. But go on.
So no, let me just come back to the internet
We
thing.
can talk about it. We should. But
Sure, we can talk about the internet thing in this context. Was it? Maybe I'm wrong, but Jon Stewart. What was that video Jon Stewart just did recently about the program that had all these hoops that had to go through, and it was like 19 things. Wasn't that internet, or was that for like public funding for like maybe? I think it was internet, right? Like that seemed like that seems
Green
like
Deal things.
Okay, yeah. So I guess with something like
I can
that,
speak to this point.
yeah, absolutely. Let me just get this out here. My thoughts
Please.
on that are like it seems like even when the Dems are doing something that's popular, like internet, like I won't listen. I won't lie. I'm not in favor of universal health care. I'm not in favor of universal like internet. Like I don't want that myself. But if I could take that, and I would say even a lot of people that voted Republican would be okay with that, like as like centrist kind of thing. They would be like, yeah, why not? We're America. We should all have this shit, right? And I can see people, and I can even be sympathetic to that. So yeah, I think those are popular things. Why is it though, when there is something popular like free internet, that they put all these extra steps and just like shoot themselves in the foot? What is your thoughts?
Yeah, I can answer very, very directly, which is this was part of like the very watered down Green New Deal, or the infrastructure package that Biden pushed forward, which I think is like the biggest infrastructure bill maybe that we've ever had. It created a lot of jobs. It did do a lot of good, but it was a compromise with Republicans who wanted to put all of these regulations in place that would slow it down, that make it take forever. And so that's why those things exist. You can trace the lineage of those things being introduced into the bill. Those weren't like leftist things like, let's negotiate forever on these contracts, or, we can look at the details of what those things were that slowed it down. But those were based on compromises with the Republican Party. And this is where people like Ezra Klein, maybe that was the conversation we're talking about when he came on, Jon Stewart. We're talking for a while about this.
I think it was Jon Stewart on somebody else's show. I think.
Okay.
It was like a 2-hour video. I can find it if you don't need me to. But
Yeah. But I mean, these are things. So things like, and again, this is just to be clear, this is not free internet. Everybody literally gets internet for free, but this is a public option. So you don't have to go to like a monopoly. I've lived in places where it's literally there's only one option for internet inside the city. These are things that generally like rural people want that may have no option, or there's only one option, so it's a monopoly and it sucks.
Yeah, it's just like the universal postage guarantee. It's just the idea that you always have an option to mail a letter. Like
that's a very interesting thing that you said there. The rural people, may want something other than the internet that's offered. But if that's the case, why is it that a lot, and probably more than I am aware of the rural people are going to co-ops? I actually pay a co-op. And it's not regulated by obviously there's state regulations, but it's not funded or a part of the state government in any way for my electricity.
It's a provider co-op.
Yeah, it's
no, that's a wonderful option. I have like a friend who moved to a rural area and kind of like set up something similar. That's a great option. Any kind of like communist socialist programs like that, I think could be very effective, because there's no overhead of somebody like skimming off the top. You're just getting the utility that you need, and you don't have to have the state involved. Like, I think that's a great option.
Yeah,
so we can kind of organize and do that. Yeah. No, that's a great option. I think if we could promote and like, if there was a way for those people, so you said that was you.
Well, Socrates,
in your area?
to be clear, like
also
the problem.
that's private ownership. That's not necessarily communist or socialist. But
you said it's a co-op.
At any rate, how does any of this affect the way the funding for the DNC is going down? So circle back to the topic.
Let's square the circle. The idea is that all parties are going to struggle with funding post-election loss, and that they need a coherent message. And part of the reason that big donors are not donating, and they're like, hey, we don't know what you're going to do with our money. There is a little bit of infighting. And so that's why we're on what should we be promoting? And that's why Socrates brought up, hey, we need more messages about things that lift everyone up, like public internet, like Medicare, like jobs, like the economy. So that's going to be a more coherent message.
So one other factor too
is what you're saying is you need to appeal to the base.
Well, that's
I couldn't hear.
Well, okay, so let's talk about. So, what is the base? It seems like two of y'all are saying y'all need to go more left. Would that be a fair assessment?
Well, to be clear, I don't think what that and even what Socrates is saying is necessarily more left. What it is a more shotgun approach of how do we just be more generic? Because clearly that's working for Trump. You don't really have to promise anything. You just have to say it will happen and not really mention any specifics. And it works.
That's a good tactic.
Yeah,
It's
like
unfortunately
mass
a very good
deportations,
tactic.
and then it
Well,
happens.
that's interesting. So
Well,
it's
then
interesting
don't.
you say that. I saw someone
yeah,
say
that's
this.
happening.
Say this the other day, and they're like, the reason why they're not going to be able to replicate Trump in this, and tell me if you agree with this, is Trump has like 20, 30 years of on television persona, right? And he has
No.
evidences of failures, evidences of successes, but he's like kind of like hunk around. And it's kind of like this was the danger with ISIS. The longer they exist, the more legitimacy they have. So Trump's got this like air of legitimacy to like a certain group, like, or like to a lot of people, they think, okay, he's legitimate. And it's compared that
He's a
to like,
brand.
he's
Like
a brand.
ISIS.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly.
he's a little like
Sure,
ISIS, I
sure.
guess.
Well, I
no,
mean,
no, I know what you're saying, but no, it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with that. It's
You
because
don't think so?
Republican voters don't give a shit about how any policy will pass, and a lot of Democratic voters are a little more intuitive and thinking about, hey, how are you going to do this? And that's why they'll sit out elections when there's like a little break and something about Palestine, and Republicans will be like, yes, Daddy Trump, I know you're a pedophile, but for the love of God, please just kill the Democrats, own the libs, I will suck your dick. So yeah, it's just a voting based thing. There's a lot more.
It's weird.
coalition
I don't
on
know
the right
any.
wing.
I don't know any right winger that thinks that way, but okay.
Well, let me bring up one
Oh,
more
yeah? Do you
conspiracy.
think, would you support Donald Trump if he was in the Epstein files and convicted of,
No,
or at least
no, I wouldn't
him?
support Donald Trump. Of
Okay,
course
that's-
not.
yeah.
But here's
Okay.
That's
So
great.
he is in the
here's
Epstein files. So are you not going to support him anymore?
Well, he's in the logs, yeah, sure, but that doesn't mean that he diddled kids, right?
Okay.
Would
so
you
would
you agree
people
that? Hold on. Would
accused
you
him
agree?
of diddling him?
Hold
do you
on,
think
hold
they're
on.
all lying, or
He's QAnon right now.
I think
Let him go.
they're just conspiracy theorists, just like QAnon would be, right?
Well,
Like, do
I got
you
a
believe them
conspiracy
when
in
they say they
second.
diddled kids? Do you actually believe them?
I believe the kids that say
obviously
they
you
were
do.
diddled by Trump and Epstein probably aren't lying about
Sorry,
it.
the logs
Which
are in this
kid- which
pizza
kid said
place
that? Hold on,
called
which kid said
Comet
that?
Pizza.
Which
Well,
kid said
let-
that?
Do you want me to go bring up their names? I can get all the
Yeah,
different
bring up
cold
their
cases.
names. Go for it.
Well,
Comet Pizza
while he
has
does
a
that,
basement.
hold
Yeah,
on,
'cause he
no,
can't.
hold on. Let me just
No, he
let me
can.
hold on,
Look
hold on, hold on.
Okay, look it
All right.
up,
So
though.
while y'all go down the Epstein rabbit hole again for the 60th panel, let me go ahead and do another thing. I have another conspiracy theory, and this is the one that I presented to. So I was hoping one of my conservative brethren would take this up because it's not really my conspiracy theory, but it's the one I've been seeing in the circle that I associate with the most, and so I feel obligated to bring it up. Now I will admit I haven't seen the link. There's that last step. It's kind of like the missing link, right? Like there's a very big piece that I haven't found or I've seen presented to me, and I don't. So that I don't believe, and I'll tell you at the end.
In the Epstein thing?
No. Of the conspiracy I'm about to give you all, which
This
is
is brand new.
Okay.
which is the one that I told you about earlier, was Doge has cut USAID. These NGOs were secretly sending money back to the U.S. and they're funding the Democratic Party through these programs such as that. And because of that, that's why the Democratic Party is now having to borrow money or attempting to for fundraising. And now I will admit, it is an appealing thing to me because I do like Doge, but I do find personally I haven't seen any. There's this big key piece of evidence, which is the link between the NGO and the group, like getting the
Sure.
money. Like there's this part that's not there. Now, maybe it's just not been presented yet. Maybe somebody's gonna find it. I don't know. But how realistic? And at the end, I want y'all to kind of tell me what are the probabilities of these. Like he's saying 0, but like I know the earlier one that Hugh mentioned was Soros.
It's 50-50, right?
Well, with the probability, these are things that are like actually the major reasons behind this. Like, I find this one maybe low until they find that link. I find the Soros thing, even if it is true, to be like only a tiny fraction of the funding. Like, how rich is Soros really, right? Like, and I think more of the Civil War is more kind of my take. What are y'all's thoughts here? Do you think there's any legitimacy to that conspiracy theory? Anybody?
I honestly have never heard the conspiracy theory. Grid or Tyler, if you guys have.
No,
No, really.
I talked a little bit about it with Gibbs the other day, and I that was the first I had kind of heard of it, but
It's all of my feet.
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it's possible. I'm sorry though, I was really distracted waiting for that list of names.
Oh, I mean, you can go into any of the.
No, I'm
just
not
go to
doing
sexual
anything. You made the
misconduct on the
statement. I'm
Wikipedia
not
I thought it
page.
was
doing
one.
I'm linking
Wikipedia.
some of the stuff from
Let
Maria.
me look it up at
Farmville.
Wikipedia.
Well, you see, Wikipedia has this cool thing at the bottom that are sources to news articles. I know it's hard to do 2 clicks, but yeah, you can look at the Maria Farmer one.
Okay.
You can look at the Virginia Guruff or whatever the fuck. There's like dozens of these.
Gibbs.
With you can call them incredible. A lot of these were settled. A lot of these were silenced. Maybe it's
What are
all
names?
Grid.
I just
So
said 2 of them. Do you want me to keep
I mean,
reading
your
more
actual
names?
question
No,
there?
you named events, but you didn't give names. I said who are the names? Who are
Virginia
the children?
Guffrey, Maria Farmer. There's like a bunch of other names, but
They were on Epstein's
can't
Island.
find them.
To your question
Said
there,
anything
Gibbs,
about the
I
They all
island.
searched.
said
These
Trump
are
diddled-
people that have either accused Trump of raping them or seen Trump, going after kids. Like, could all be made up. Who knows? Maybe he was just really big friends with this pedophile for a really long time, but I don't know.
Todd,
The Democrat donor.
Hey, Clinton was friends with it too. I don't see me
Yeah.
defending Clinton because I'm not. I don't know my
Weinstein, P. Diddy. I think he fits the
my
other side a
Clinton
little better.
hat. I'll get rid of my Clinton flag, and my
There's no
Clinton
way he
hat,
did
and all
anything
that.
like
I
that.
guess if it turns out he was a pedophile.
Okay,
but-
so to your question, I searched and searched and searched because that's something you asked me earlier before the panel. I found no evidence to any ties between Democratic donations and USAID, even though some of the same NGOs that donate to Democrats also get money from USAID. That could just be because of good intentions, and until I see that corruption, it's basically saying all funding that goes to my opponents is corrupt.
Wait, hold on. Wait, did you just say
It's a soy pill tactic?
Did you just say you actually have? Wait, so you actually have evidence of NGOs?
No, I looked out for 2 days. I couldn't find shit
from any NGO that got money from USA. Okay, so
oh, they did. I just couldn't find any link to show that their funding has slowed down for any particular reason. We might see that at the end of the cycle.
Okay,
but it's so fucking
this is
early.
my question.
How do we know?
This is my question. The NGO got money from USA, correct? Yes. And then you're saying you have evidence that those same NGOs give to Democrat candidates.
I found a couple that I don't know candidates, party. I just saw that there were several that contribute to the Democratic Party in some way. Yeah, but that doesn't mean necessarily there's any corruption there at all. That's not proof of corruption.
Okay.
It's Democrat or Republicans can go pass laws that are good for guns, and then people that like guns, like the NRA, can donate to Republicans. That's not proof of corruption. That's this candidate wants to sponsor the things that are for me, and I vote for myself. So why would I not vote for this candidate? Like they are washing each other's hands, but it doesn't make it anything clandestine or corrupt. It just
Tyler, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic, but I agree with you. Like, yeah, like
I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not, but like,
I see what you're saying, but this is how politics work. You go for the
I can't tell,
like a
bro.
company is going to make more money if you cut.
Not, bro.
Donald Trump's going to cut taxes. So big business people go with Donald Trump. He cuts taxes. They give money to his campaign. Why aren't you this good
when we play poker? Why are you this bad? Like I don't understand.
I won the poker league.
You didn't win a single round that I played. That's the crazy part. Like but now he's over here. I can't tell if he's being
Look at
sarcastic.
my trophy, first place.
Oh my god! Yeah, I mean you still didn't beat me a single time. Crazy. I just don't understand. All right, sorry. Yeah. So, you saying you agree with this take there that it's like
if he's not memeing, the idea that like U.S. aid funnels money to NGOs, but they're like, actually, what you got to do is then donate all this money to Democratic candidates because we're not allowed to do it, and it was this big money laundering scheme. I mean, first of all, if you look at like what I assume Tyler found of how much these NGOs are donating to candidates, it's like peanuts compared to like what the DNC is raising during a normal election cycle. But even if like the NGOs do donate to some Democratic candidates, like first of all, you'd have to have show that they specifically get the money that was given to them by USAID to these candidates, which is not the case, versus, hey, this NGO aligns with what this politician is saying, so they're going to give them some money, which is totally allowed, I'm pretty sure. The USAID money is not the reason it's cut off or the funding is down.
Grid, Jake, do y'all see anything sus about that, or am I the only one hearing what they're saying?
I believe the NRA was actually investigated, and I think maybe sued over campaign contribution irregularities. So
so if what they're saying is true,
everything that Soyfield just said,
but
I don't know that. I'd have to go look it up, and I'm not researching.
I mean, what about you, Jake? You find what they're saying sus or like not sus? Because like I didn't even know about what he's saying, and now I'm a little more sussed out than I was before.
So it's not NGOs; it was groups I was talking about, like specific groups that get money. NGOs can't take political like steps. They can't do anything politically legal.
Yeah, that was what I was
but
going to
they're
ask.
receiving USA money. The people that you're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay, yeah.
But they can't
then-
make campaign contributions.
Yeah, and then
surely,
the
right?
person that owns the NGO or has in charge of it, that's the person making the contributions to the
They
Democrat.
personally, but not on behalf of the org.
Yeah, and there's
not on behalf of the NGO. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
there's
so
no
you're saying the
corruption.
person that
Yeah.
Sorry, I fucked
They're
that
the-
up. If I said otherwise.
Well, so
Yeah.
yeah, like the
Makes more
conspiracy
sense.
would be that USAID gives NGO money, the NGO CEO or leader pays himself and then uses that as
And then-
personal funds
yeah,
to
yeah.
donate to the DNC or something. Like,
would that be the conspiracy theory, Tyler?
Yeah, it's exactly what I was saying about taxes. You cut
Okay.
taxes, the owner of the business makes more money, he donates to the Republican Party. Same exact
Right.
thing.
And then okay, I get you there through tax cuts, and then they get money through whatever they save, right? And they donate to whatever political party that they're. Yeah, I mean that does make sense to a degree. I mean,
You find
I think we see this with politics. I do find it suspicious if that's the case. I mean, it sounds kind of legitimate in a way, but I haven't done the research to really have a deep dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, this
So
is
I
new
can't speak
information to me
to the-
too. I don't know. I'm finding it real sus as I hear it personally, but
Yeah. I'd have
Here's
to go.
the
and
thing
do
I
that
heard
right now.
about. Weren't there some corporations that were like getting like deregulated or getting some kind of like government subsidies and then donating
well,
to
let's just
to
take it
candidates
as
or like
let's
running
ju-
ads on behalf of them, or I felt like I heard about. I
well,
don't know
let's
if that's
just
ever
let's just
happened.
for funsies. Let's do a thought
I
exercise real
think
quick.
what
Okay.
you might be thinking of was the NRA would support a local person in an election or something like that, and somehow the money. I'm not really sure that they were clean with the way the money was handled.
Hmm.
Now that could, I'm sure that they said it was an accounting error. There was a lot of, and obviously, by the way, I do not belong to the NRA. I think that they're a very bad organization that do not have gun owners' rights at heart. Wayne LaPierre is a criminal and should be in jail.
Aced.
All right. But that was some of the accusations were that Wayne LaPierre, acting as the president of the NRA, was participating not in the best way with politicians, including flights around the country on private jets and things of that nature, which he was obviously called out on. I'm not really sure the disposition of all of that. I never looked into it. I just know that there were questions asked. I'm not sure that there were court cases or anything like that. I could look it up, or my chat will look it up. But
I just found actually an article that goes into detail. And
Well-
it's like really up to date. This is like July this year. It's like 35 million. So yes, this is basically how it works.
LaPierre's been ousted, and they're clean. The NRA's been cleaning house. Because LaPierre's been ousted finally, and things like that. So
Let me
but that would be an example of that, right? And so there are other organizations. That's just one of many hundreds, maybe thousands of organizations that back politicians using federal grant money that they shouldn't be using for that purpose. And I think that's what Tyler's talking about. And I'm just using one example from somebody that I do pay attention to refute what Soy Pill had to say.
let me
That's
just
all.
let me
That's all I'm
just
doing.
let me just for funsies here. Let's make it the thought exercise because I'm still not totally sold on this, and I was definitely like 0% sold on this as a conspiracy theory. But let's just for funsies say that it's 100% true. How much do y'all think of the percentage of the funding would be actually affected by this? Even if it was true, I'm having trouble squaring
It would be very small.
Yeah, that's the percentage. That's affecting it on the day to day. I can't see how it'd be that high of a percentage. Is that
There's no way that it's affecting even as bad as the economy hasn't really improved much in the last 3 years. Trump's slightly better than Biden's last year, but it was already kind of going that way to begin with. So I'd say that's probably a bigger factor than USAID losing funding is the fact that people are just donating less because they're kind of broke.
Yeah, that could be it. Not only that, the $2 billion that Kamala Harris got donated prior before. Going back to Soy Pill's point, I don't think they have a leader. So you can see, a lot of them kind of being cautious about the donations. But as far as the conspiracy theory, I don't think it's gonna make that big of a difference as far as the donations go. As far as the leftover money. So I'm not too sure on that.
interesting?
I'm still sticking with my biggest factor. Man, they isolated the Jewish vote. The Jewish voter is per capita the largest donor in the country.
Not
That's
only
the
that, that's a
biggest
good point,
section.
especially with the Jewish,
I mean,
especially APAC.
I
They do
can't
get a lot of
refute it.
politicians.
I don't know that it's true. I can't refute it, but I don't know that it's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess my only contention with that, Tyler, is if that's the case, then why are we raising money at a 2-to-1 compared to 2017 when there wasn't like a big anti-Israel movement back then?
Inflation.
2-to-1?
2-to-1.
I mean, it's not. I looked at the numbers. I linked the actual DNC, what they said they confirmed right now. We're on pace. We're at 7 months in. If this rate continues, they'll actually be just slightly ahead of 8 years ago. And we've had, I think, 25% inflation since then. So I would argue that if you take inflation into account, they're probably going to raise less. I looked, they're at $60 million total raise contributions this so far in 7 months. And I think it was close to 200 between 2017 and 2018.
I think it's the rate of donations. I don't know about the total amount. And like we said, the bigger donors are sitting out. If you can show that those are disproportionately Jewish, I guess I don't think that's what's going to happen. Look, it's a lot of speculation here. I think if you look at the donations a year from now, clip this, but I think it's going to be right back to where it was, and it won't have anything to do with an Israeli change in policy.
Yeah, I mean, just to speak to that, I don't know. Am I the only Jewish member on the panel right now?
No, I'm Jewish.
Are you Jewish, bro? Now that I look at you, you do look it now. Now that you
I was going to say I clocked him from a while away. The fact that it took you that long, Ben.
Am I the only Zionist?
No.
Do you fiddle on the roof? No, I'm kidding, bro.
I mean, occasionally, I've been known to fiddle.
You play the fiddle.
I fuck with tradition. Yeah, I mean, there's a split within the Jewish community that has grown because there are more more conservative or more which I think correlates with more kind of like business oriented, which are probably wealthier Jews who would be the larger campaign contributors who are still more supportive of Israel. And then there's especially younger people and especially more progressive Jews are more critical of Israel. So there is a split. Please.
Oh no, I was going to ask you. So since you are part of the Jewish community, just out of curiosity, wouldn't that make sense, especially with the issues over there with Hamas and Palestine, etc.? Seems like a lot of the liberal, especially young liberals that are there that are chanting out free Palestine. Wouldn't you say that a lot of the donations or the donors, the lobbyists over there in APAC and the Jewish community, wouldn't that make sense that for them to just kind of not go towards the Democratic Party since they do support a lot of these, kind of free Palestine, etc. Liberal voters? Like, wouldn't that make sense that many of them probably would kind of deter themselves from
the Democratic Party supporting this? If anything, most of the Democratic, even like the more progressive people like AOC are literally angering those protest people because they're voting for aid packages to Israel. Why would the donors see these protests and say, yes, the DNC is in line with them when I don't think any of the Democratic leadership is?
So those are exactly. So those are the people who are more supportive of the DNC establishment versus the people who are more critical. But just to disambiguate a little bit, so AIPAC is a lobby for Israel, and they have become more and more supportive of Republican lawmakers because they're basically just like, oh, Israel's killing brown people. We like killing brown people. Sorry, I don't mean that. Whatever.
No,
but
let's be 100 about it.
So they're our buddies, right? Netanyahu, he doesn't like Arabs, we don't like Arabs. It's great. Why wouldn't we be best friends, right? So there's some alignment that's happening there. That's not the same as necessarily, Jewish mega donors in the U.S. Who are more in line with the Democratic establishment. But in terms of like the kind of more clear signals that we're seeing when it comes to donations, Zoran Mamdani, he's been labeled even by some members of the Democratic establishment as like anti-Semitic, right? So even these slurs are going. There's like a Democratic like attack ad where they darkened and lengthened his beard to make it look more scary Muslim, whatever, right? There's a lot of Islamophobia, but he got record funding in New York City, which has double the number of Jews as Jerusalem. right? So the idea
Right.
that like,
Do you know the
yeah,
percentage of that were Jewish donors? The percentage, or no?
um,
Do you know the percentage of that, or no?
I don't know if that's. We could try to find that. I'm not sure if that's like.
I'm just out of curiosity because I'm kind of curious on that
I mean,
because I
it'd
think
be
Tyler brings
interesting.
in a pretty good point about that.
But there's a big perception gap between what say Donald Trump is pushing for, where he's basically saying anybody who says free Palestine is like an anti-Semite, right? These movements are largely Jewish led, right? So
Yeah.
I've been at encampments that were cleared out, that were labeled anti-Semitic, where the only thing I could hear were groups of people singing together in Hebrew, right? So this is really like a slur against the Jewish community, saying that like, oh, if you're Jewish and you don't support Israel, if you don't support genocide,
You're anti-Semitic. Yeah.
you're anti-Semitic.
It's double
like
fake.
the pure spirit of
Right.
Judaism is like murdering people. Like that's an anti-Semitic statement. To be against genocide, those are the things that I learned as values, growing up in a Jewish community. To have empathy for people, we have this thing on, like, I don't know if you've heard of Passover or Pesach, where we read from like the story of the Jews' exodus from Egypt, and we're slaves in Egypt, and we're supposed to think about people who are oppressed today. It probably wasn't
Jewish, are you?
No. I mean, semi. I don't know, but
You don't know?
Well, so
the Jewish split on the donors from Mamdani is probably just going to be tied exactly to the other demographic. Like I don't know if they even delineate based on like, are you Jewish or not? It's going to be like, I think the ultra wealthier
far as, like,
people
the
were
lobbyists.
against him, or all of the older people are going to vote for Chris Como, and all the younger voter went for him. Like the Jewish vote is going to be split there. It's not going to be, oh yeah, who did the Jews go for? Like that's not really like a voting base as a whole.
No,
but they are a donor base. But
they're like 15% of New York City.
Well, hold on. Well, but you do agree they're a big donor
they
base,
don't
though.
vote as a monolith because they usually don't have like, what's the Jewish issue here? In the same way that black people might be like, hey, like this very specific policy calls out jobs for black voters, or Latino people might be voting on an immigration thing on a much higher majority. Like Jewish people don't vote based on that.
Well, let me ask this,
even when it's this Israel-Palestine thing.
So, like, we do agree that the people of the Jewish they donate a lot to to different groups, different PACs, right? And they do make up some portion of the voting base, especially in New York. But I don't know enough, but I know, for example, the Catholics and the SBC, both of them put out, the Southern Baptist Convention, they both put out like a pamphlet before voting. Now they're not specifically allowed to say like who they're voting for, but they'll be like, oh, these are the candidates, and these values that they're proposing align with ours, and then are aligned with these values that we propose. These are the other candidates, and these are the things where we differ. And then they don't say who to vote for, but it's like, okay, they agree with all these, just so you know, kind of thing, right? And like all these organizations do that, all the religious ones. Like, are you saying that like maybe if the voting isn't the key thing, do you think that enough donors are not being influenced by the Israel-Palestine thing that it's hurting the Democratic Party right now, as compared to like, I know there's not one like Orthodox Jew church that controls as many like denominations as like say like the Catholics or the SBC or something.
There's no pope.
But yeah, there's like no pope. But yeah,
to Tyler's conspiracy, because I'll call it that until we can be sure that the Jews are withholding funding because of Israel-Palestine. Older Jews are more likely to have more money. Older Jews are more likely to be pro-Israel. So therefore, older Jews would be more likely to withhold funding if they thought that the progressive pro-Palestine movement was taking over the DNC, which it's not. Like, again, even the most progressive politicians aren't being pro-Palestine to the degree that the movement wants them to be. That doesn't mean I think they're necessarily wrong, but you can see they're chewing up Bernie because he won't use genocide as a word. And like, yeah, if Bernie isn't far left enough for them, then I don't see why these donors would be like, yes, like, the party, the Intifada has taken over the party and we shan't be donating. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Sorry, there's a ghost possessing my house. Okay,
just because you can hold up your little tokens doesn't mean it's even close to the majority.
I mean, do you agree
with the numbers right now? The Jewish community in the United States overwhelmingly supports Israel, said they side with them. Israel decisions over Israel and U.S. foreign policy are very important to them. American support for Israel versus Gaza It's starting to collapse now after a few years, but at one point, 78% of the U.S. said they wanted Israel to finish the job with Hamas before the war ended. So, at the end of the day,
what does that mean, right? Like, is
Finish
that,
the job,
hey,
remove
we
them.
want you to ethnically cleanse the strip like Trump has suggested, or does it mean get rid of
I don't
Hamas, the
think
terrorist
Trump is
organization, right? Like, these are
Trump's
very
plan is
different.
not that.
Trump literally
Yeah, so
said,
there's-
let's clear out Gaza,
So there's
put them all
just-
in Libya and Egypt at a certain point. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, to clear
So,
out the
Tyler,
land faster than
there's
allow
just
them
one
back
thing to
in.
call out.
I
So-
don't know if he said
so-
anything
so-
about that.
I did. I read the
Clean
policy.
Gaza, though. Obviously, it's like 80% of the buildings were destroyed. So you do need to clear out the people in order to fix the strip, right?
No.
That's what he was speaking about.
I
Yeah,
saw it,
but
yeah.
just Tyler, I need to call you out because actually I'm familiar with the poll you were talking about, where they're asking like American Jews like what they think of Israel, and the number that you were citing about Jews having some kind of like strong feelings about Israel wasn't disambiguating. Do they support the Israeli government or whatever? Support for like some kind of positive feelings toward the Israeli people is like 90%. Support for the Israeli government is like 50% within the Jewish community. But some kind of attachment from Israel to Israel was the question. I have some kind of attachment to Israel. I feel responsible for their actions as somebody who shares their faith, as a nation that's saying like, oh, we're doing, we're doing what Jews want by killing these people. Like, we're representing Jews. If they say we're representing you by doing this, I feel like I have the obligation to speak out in the same way that people who are Muslim might decide to speak out against some kind of authoritarian religious regime. I feel like I have the obligation to speak out when Netanyahu says, if you criticize anything our government does, you're anti-Semitic. I don't think you should hold people as part of a faith to that, but I feel like personally I have the obligation to speak out against that.
Well, Grid,
Sure, but that's not my argument.
let me go to you, Grid. Do you think do you think it's this is the big reason why they're hurting on funding and fundraising, or do you think it's other issues
I
other
don't
than the
think it's
Soros
helping,
thing?
but
What do you
I
think?
don't
Like,
think it's helping, but I don't know how major an impact it has. I would just say that I think that there is some truth to the fact that there's probably some donor fatigue, right? They've been giving. They raised $2 billion for Kamala Harris's campaign. That's a lot of money. And I guess without knowing, and I was not able to find, I did look for this without knowing what the man on the street contributions are, the guy who gives $100 or $50 or $25. Without knowing that, I think that basically I would have to stand by my perception is they've angered some billionaires. Most people only know 5 or 6 billion, know of 5 or 6 billionaires, and that's Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Warren Buffett, and Soros, right? Like that's it. Like they don't know anybody else, right? Like they
Oprah.
don't even
Kanye?
yeah, right. So, but yeah, right. There's a lot of billionaires out there.
There's a lot of billionaires, yeah.
And to think that the DNC has not angered some of them with the way that they have presented themselves, I think is delusional. And I think that they're going to have to win those people back. But I would honestly, I almost wonder if it's the rank and file, right? Like we know, right, from polling and whatnot, that the younger generation is more and more conservative and less liberal progressive, right? And if those people are not giving money, if those people are not opening their wallet or writing in, when you guys remember, maybe you don't, maybe it's just an old person thing, but when you went to college that first day and you paid your bill, you could like donate to your political party or whatever down at the end, and you could get like $5 or something, right? And I don't think people are writing in $5 here and there anymore. I just don't. I just don't feel like that people are, even when people come up to look, they're having a hard time getting real polls because people are avoiding the polls in the malls or wherever the fuck people go now. I never go I go to the lake and the gym. That's pretty much fucking it for me. So
I don't
and
think they
fly.
poll
If I
people
could
in
have flown
public
today, it'd have
like
been a perfect day.
petitions.
If I
That's
could
not how
have
like
flown
Pew
today,
Research.
I'm sorry.
They don't like have a guy on a corner for polling. That's not how like Pew Research is conducted. That's like for petitions.
Sure. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. I mean, if I could have had I don't know. I could have had a perfect day today if I'd gone flying. Other than that, I did everything I fucking normally do. So, and it didn't occur to me to go fly until it was too late. But I just don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, Gibbs. I think there is a problem in the DNC. I think the DNC is bleeding cash. I think they have a problem. Whether they want to admit it or not, it's none of my damn business. I honestly don't give a fuck.
Well, wait, Grid, to be clear, you're not wrong. I mean, there isn't some like secret or debate about whether or not these donors, I don't know if you want to use the word mad, but they're clearly like withholding funding. Ken Martin
type of
is
upset.
talking to these people and saying, hey, like, why aren't you giving us money? And they're like, well, one, we're either upset at the fact that you did not use our money to win last year, or we don't know where you're going now. This is all undisputed. This is just like they're admitting this. That's very
Pretty
different
valid.
from, there's a secret
fair.
Soros fund that's dried up and they don't want to admit it. So they're saying it's some other thing.
Hey, Socrates. Is that your name, right? Socrates?
Socrates, yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up. According to Pew Research, it's about 85% of U.S. Jews believe it's important for the U.S. to support Israel. I want to ask you, since you're over there in New York, right? You said you were in New York?
No. I'm
Oh,
not
no,
in
you're
New
not.
York.
Oh, never
Yeah,
mind. I
that
thought
was
you lived
very
in New York. My
anti-Semitic of
bad.
you to assume
Thankfully.
that just because he's
Thankfully.
Jewish looking.
Not Jews live in New York.
I was
all
about
right.
to ask you an anti-Semitic question.
I actually 100% pegged him for like New York, New Jersey,
You know,
East Coast.
this is a
I
little
was
off
thinking he
topic.
was from New
That's
York, bro.
him.
I don't know why I assumed that.
Well, this is a little.
like a
This is a little.
Bev. I can see that.
It's a little off topic, but
Talk fast.
I was growing up in Texas, right? And everybody always makes the Texas racist jokes, right? I've heard it my whole life. Oh, they must be racist. And I was always growing up. I hear these like online. I got online. I would always hear these Jews jokes. Never got it because the only like Jewish people I knew were there was like 3 hot blonde chicks. That's the only ones we had down there. And I think they're probably the only Jews in all of Texas. So like, it never made sense to me. And now y'all over here, y'all all got the jokes. I just want y'all to know that y'all are all more racist than Texas, you bastards. And it makes
I
me
will
feel
tell you
good.
this: I'm also from Texas, and
Well,
yeah,
shit.
I didn't
Thanks for
grow up
fucking me up there, bro. I appreciate it.
No, I agree
What
with
is
you,
it, the
Gibbs.
Jews
That's
are
the
big in
thing.
He's a
Texas?
wetback, so I don't know. I don't know. What
I
you
did
want.
come in here illegally, man. So don't tell Trump about it. But yeah,
Well, you and my father then both got in here the same way, so it's all right. But moving on, yeah, back. I mean, go ahead.
Gibbs, real quick. I don't know if you're open to this, but Jonah,
Sure.
who's appeared on WIC panels before, he works for Progressive Victory, and I think he's much more of a authority on this and can talk about the
Yeah,
funding real quick.
he can
if
jump
you're
in.
still
Yeah,
having-
absolutely.
Yeah, I added him to the DM, but I think you'll get a much more substantive answer from him. I'm not talking myself down. He just knows a lot. Like,
Yeah, no, he can absolutely join us if he wants to. Yeah, I mean, I don't. We don't have Del Taco, but no, I don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's something, Grid, to what you were saying. I don't know that the DNC has made billionaires mad via policy or rhetoric. Losing, obviously, that's not great. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be part of the losing side. Only part of the winning side. They want to have victories. But Trump right now is doing a really, really good job of courting billionaires. He's giving them lots of our money. Why wouldn't they like that, right? So I think there probably is. I don't know that we've seen any kind of like effect of it when it comes to the funding of the DNC. But I wouldn't be so surprised if there's more billionaires who start to give donations like to more to the Republican side, versus the Democratic base is more likely to want some kind of like campaign finance reform. But the DNC itself is very happy to court billionaires. They're not that interested in kind of like leftist populist like politics or policies. So the split between the voter base and the party establishment, I think is pretty broad and worth keeping in mind.
Let me go to Jonah since we just brought him in here. Jonah, Soy says you work for Progressive Victory.
Did yeah. But
Okay, cool.
I know a lot about campaign.
Well, so that's fine. Just to be clear, like I know my audience, I got a lot of casuals. So if you would explain like what Progressive, they're a PAC, they're a super PAC, right? And explain what that is, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I can explain it, but I don't work for them anymore.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, but just since that's what your
You
experience.
got fired or what?
No, the
Oh.
election ended.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just so that because I know people will be interested. So your relation.
They're a combined PAC / super PAC, so they can do outside spending not coordinated with the campaign, and they can also do like regular PAC activities where you can spend like up to a certain amount with the like in coordination with the campaign.
And a PAC is a
and there's
political
also a
action
state-
committee. That's what it's called.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. On this topic, I think like kind of surprising to me that like some people in here actually had like somewhat decent reasons why the funding is going down. Like I think it's a combination of a lot of the things that people are talking about. Like I think the grassroots money is actually doing not that bad, but a lot of the like 6 to 7 figure checks are actually not coming in because people are just really uncertain about if their money is going to be well spent or not, and they're sort of just waiting and sitting on their money to see what the DNC does this year before doing those big commitments, and that's obviously where the majority of the money for the party is going to come from, is from those 6 and 7 figure checks, because one of those donors versus like hundreds and hundreds of smaller donors would be equivalent. So that's why like the Republicans are super happy, right? Like they're like, well, yeah, like Trump is the party and Trump is the president. So if I want to satisfy him and therefore satisfy the party, they're going to give the money to the RNC as quickly as possible, as early as possible, right when he wins, right? So that's why there's a lot of money coming in for them right now. But
what do you think that they're waiting on to see before they donate, in your opinion?
Like what's changed, basically, like what strategically is changing. What, there already has been a lot of stuff. Like they're doing like a lot more like creator stuff and like influencer stuff than they were. They're doing like there's a lot of people that are like the old guard that like were like super dumb strategically that aren't really involved anymore. A lot of stuff has and is changing. But they're just
do you have an
waiting to
example
see.
of that? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I like this this thing, but they announced like this. What's it, like the creator war room or something? Like they're doing like more content creator stuff, which is a good idea.
I meant that too, but I meant of like an old guard person that they got replaced, put somebody new in. Like, do you have who's like the old guy out, new fresh?
I'm not gonna name names.
I didn't know. I didn't know there was like a public.
David Hogg was the old guard. He's the reason actually they lost in 2024, and they replaced him with Ken Martin, who's a much younger, virile man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow the DNC.
David Hogg
obviously,
was the chair of the DNC. Yeah.
But yeah, go on with what else you were saying. I'm sorry.
And virile, are you making an assumption that maybe he's got a little too much soy in his diet?
No, David Hogg has too much soy, but Ken Martin, he's a big, strong man, and he knows exactly what to do. That's why the Democratic Party is headed in the right direction.
Do you agree with
it's
that?
Low hanging fruit, man. I got to go for it. It's low hanging.
I wanted to say that like it is 100% not the only / even top 5 reasons why the party's not getting as much funding. But I think like the like Jewish donor thing that Tyler's talking about is like actually not the worst reason. Like there is some truth to that probably. Just knowing like
what percentage would you assign? Like if you had to just wager,
like 5 to 10 or something like that, probably. Because all it takes is 1 to 2 pissed off like 100 millionaire or billionaire like old like super old Zionist Jewish donors to not get like an $800,000 check or something, right? Like, and then like like you get 3 of those, and there's a couple $1 million that you're not getting now that you would have gotten really early on in the election cycle. That are just not being accounted for, and they probably will eventually get it. Right? Like these people are just like solid Democrats who have always voted Democrat, but they just might be pissed off right now about Zoran, about whatever, and they like blame the party for it, even if it's like kind of silly to blame the party for it.
I don't know. Those 29 votes in the Senate the other day is a way to link it to the party. That came after Zoran. The Bernie Sanders thing to defund all of the offensive weapons going to Israel.
Well,
but
okay, so let me ask you this: so you're saying,
wait, I did that to let you know he's still alive.
Well, okay, let me just do this. So you're saying that these donors are saying they're going to wait. Soy Pills also kind of echoed that. How much do y'all think that this is going to affect? I know Soy is arguing that they're going to start doing it as midterms ramp up. How important do you think these early months are, like now? Like strategic wise, not having this money available, how much do you think it's going to affect them in the midterms? Is it going to really hurt them? Is it going to be not so important? What are our thoughts on this? Is it like a major issue? Like I think it might be something, but go ahead.
If you don't even have a coherent message to disseminate with all the money that you would have to spend on ads and all that, I guess, can you still hear me? I mean, you asked the question.
I can hear you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
here.
Yeah,
this is not going to make a huge difference. I mean, I think even like if there was no money in the DNC, which obviously matters, but if there was none, like the messaging of the primary politicians of like, hey, how bad is Donald Trump doing in this election cycle is going to make such a big difference compared to like whether or not the Democrats are able to run an ad that demonstrates that he's doing a bad job. It matters obviously, but like, yeah, this is not going to be like the changing factor. It's also not going to be that big of a deal that the money is not there now, because I think, like Jonah will probably agree, I don't know if you will, the money's going to come around in the midterms because everyone's going to get fired up. Big things are going to happen. You're going to get all the October surprises. I mean, I, for one, am not donating to the Democratic Party right now, but I did last year. That was to offset some Trump merch that I bought, though. So
yeah, to be honest, I got to agree with Soy over here, because at the end of the day, when the midterms come around, they're going to get fired up. They're going to have to win. They're especially when it comes to history. Usually, us as Republicans might expect to either lose the House or the Senate or something here. So they're going to go hard and at least to get one of those. One of them, either the House or the Senate, but it has to happen. Eventually, they're going to have to get together, decide of what direction they're going to go to, leading into the midterms. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, as far as now though, on why they're getting broke, I think we can all agree that coming off of a landslide loss to Donald Trump could affect a lot of this, a lot of donors from donating from these politicians. Not only that, they don't know who the leader is. Even when I asked this question to Soy Pill and Socrates, they're not even too sure themselves. So I think the Democratic Party's strategy moving forward is to pick a direction. I saw Elizabeth Warren is already kind of jumping ship on a direction that she wants with, I believe it's the guy that won the primaries over there in New York, the Muslim Mamdani. Thank you. Yeah, so we might be seeing some of these Democrats picking a side and seeing which direction they go moving forward. But the money will come.
Were you saying that she was suggesting that he run for president like next cycle, or what's?
No, I don't think she suggested that. I'm saying that she
model
she said democratic socialism is the future of the Democratic Party. That to me tells me that she kind of picked a side with that direction.
So
that makes sense.
Let me ask this then, because I'm seeing, maybe I disagree a little bit here, because I'm seeing this trend with the polling, and it's saying, oh, some of these low numbers are as low as 8% approval ratings, right? And it's like the lowest time in decades. And then I'm seeing, oh, we're dissatisfied with the funding. And then y'all are just saying, oh, they're just holding on. They're just holding on until they see who's going out there. I think Soy Pill made a good point with, oh, well, if you don't really have a message yet, let's not waste the money, right? Like that's fair. But then y'all turn around and say, oh, it seems like they pick sides and they're going more progressive. And I don't know if I think that's actually maybe the anti of what you want, because you're going more progressive. And it seems like maybe that's part of the reason they aren't getting the funding, because a lot of these mainstream donors are like, oh, if we're going to go more left, well, this is the opposite of what I want. Because I know people like Tyler, and I've heard other people say we need to move more to the middle. And, y'all are saying the opposite. What are your thoughts on that being a factor?
Yeah. Well, I just have to give one statement here, and it's not super in depth, but Tyler, I promise you, is not representative of the average Democrat voter. I think if you could find more than 5 people that want Fetterman to be the primary candidate in 2028, I would be very surprised, but that's it.
Similar approval rating to AOC. He's not that unpopular. He's very popular within his state. He's very popular.
He's unpopular among primary voters, which is the important part.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this is kind of a critical. Gibbs, what you're saying, this is a kind of critical feature of our time, because for a while, the kind of like Clinton era, the Democratic establishment cozied up to corporations. They raised a shitload of money, and they're doing really, really well. And they've moved further and further and further away from the kind of like working person's party that supports unions and supports social programs that make everyday people's lives better and support like worker power against corporatist takeover, they've moved away from that, and they've taken more and more billionaire funding. And at a certain point, you get to a point where, you know, how much more funding can you get to run ads to tell people to vote a certain way when your policies aren't supporting the things that like affect those voters? And then I understand it can be very scary as a party to say we're going to maybe alienate some donors, some, you know, people in the donor class who are billionaires, who are very wealthy. We might lose some of their funding if we go in a more populist direction. But like, these are the things that affect our constituents, and those are also the voters. And so this question of like money versus constituents who are the voters that you're trying to buy ads to get them to vote in the first place, it is kind of a tough cycle. And you know, they may have moved about as far as they can in the corporatist category without just being, I mean, the Republican Party is also moving very far to the corporatist side, right? You know, the big beautiful bill that's, you know, increasing the deficit by whatever $1 trillion and giving all of that money to billionaires. You know, the Democrats can't compete with that. They're not going to be more corporatist than the fascist party, right? So at some point they need to start saying, maybe we're actually just going to do things that help our constituents, and we are going to lose some funding, but it's not going to take as many dollars to get one voter if they actually really, really like what we're doing. Like,
you think that's a winning strategy moving forward, especially with the midterms coming up?
I mean, that's
the question.
That's a question. I think it's likely. I mean, so you see, you know, I personally think Mamdani should be the model. He's the person who's gotten, you know, not just the kind of like support and votes and whatever, but the money. He's gotten the money.
Sure.
Right? Versus, you know, with his populist policies, I don't know if it's going to work everywhere. It worked in New York. You know, right. It's yet to be seen. I think it's a reasonable direction, and I don't know that there's a lot of choice, because I don't know what kind of moves they can make in that direction, versus there's a lot of open field for populist policies that your constituents want. Like,
yeah,
it's a reasonable strategy to go in that direction. But I'm not you know.
Can I just give you a little bit of pushback on that? Historically, historically though, from what I've noticed, usually with those types of politicians, they don't tend to have too much success moving forward, especially on the higher ranking of the presidency and stuff like that. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if that's a good strategy. I think you guys should move more towards the center. And I think that's the winning strategy moving forward, man.
Further to the right, you mean? Or?
Further to the center part, instead of going farther left with like the socialism.
Well, I mean, they've been moving further right for a long time.
Sure.
Now.
Yeah, further right, more towards the center. I'm not saying be a Trump supporter or nothing like that. Mm-hmm. But what I am saying is that I think that's more of a winning strategy than going that direction of the socialism, right?
Okay. So what's the reason for that then? Or like, why do you? Because
historically, historically, it's usually Bernie Sanders that has been kind of successful on that. But outside of Bernie, there hasn't been too many politicians that kind of push that type of agenda that's been successful until recently with what's his name, the guy over there in New York, Benghazi, whatever. Mangadi, thank you.
Whatever
Benghazi, whatever the fuck his name is, man.
That's funny.
Something Muslim or Indian, whatever the fuck he is.
Sure, something like
that. But I'm just saying, like, I think the winning strategy for the Democrats would be kind of going towards that moderate position.
I mean, it's been
I just have a question. As a Trump supporter, would you like be honest with us? Like, if you really did think it would work, or would you want us to lose?
Well, the only reason I say that is because historically, like, Bernie has kind of been, you know, like, especially in 2016, Bernie got kind of fucked over. I just don't see the Democratic Party kind of embracing a lot of these progressive ideas.
Well, they might not, but we're talking about what they should do. And if they had gone like wholeheartedly behind Bernie, there's a good chance that he would have won the general.
I don't know, man.
Let me. I want to differentiate here, because I think there's a big difference between going more left, like what you might say to go towards more of Bernie, or even what Mamdani is doing, versus being more populist. And what I'm seeing from these people, like, you know, Ro Khanna and not Warren so much, but these other people, even Newsom, is they're maybe you could say moving right, because they're not being as progressive with their talks on trans issues or any of these things, but they're not doing it in a way that's like, hey, we're changing our policy on these things. They're just saying, I'm going to mention LGBT people less because I know that some people think it's too woke. And even though that means that I'm going to pass policies like, Medicare that is going to lift all groups up, I'm just not going to hyper focus on those. And that's not a movement left, and that's not really a movement right. That's just a change in messaging that will alienate fewer people. And I think that's probably the right way to go.
And that's mostly differentiation of like what is it, like social versus economic or something like that.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So
It's like
maybe it would be
going
clear.
super double down on the economy. Yeah.
I think going through Mandani quotes.
To clarify what I think Viopod is asking, do you think that the Democrat will appeal more to its the Democratic Party would appeal more to its base if it had a candidate that was more like a Kennedy Democrat, a Blue Dog Democrat, kind of like our buddy Tyler over here, who considers himself a classic liberal.
Clinton Democrat.
Gross. You're a classic liberal. Oh, dude,
Clinton
get out of here.
Democrat. Like a 90s, new Democrat. New Democrat.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you
Democratic
think
temples,
that would
Democrat.
appeal more to their actual base than being more like Bernie and AOC and
No,
those
I have that answer.
No, I
So
mean-
looking at polling, 60-40, it favors more moving to the left within the party. Same way, 60-40, it favors going after Trump's policies and not waiting to see any actual results from them. Like 60-40, it's in favor of doing all these unpopular. If you go through a lot of Mondani's preferred stances, defund the police, trans sanctuary city, undocumented sanctuary city, these are not popular policies.
Those are also not his main policies, right? Those are not the things he talks about. Those are not the things
what does it
he
matter if it's
highlights.
his main policy or not?
Yeah, whatever. Just say whatever.
Doesn't he have a policy about
People want
taxing
to
white
do.
neighborhoods?
That,
I think
no,
that's
he
kind of-
just said that poorly. That was he wants to tax more affluent neighborhoods. That's all.
I do want to jump in here real quick. I know I'm moderating, but I actually want to answer Soy Pill's question because I find it kind of interesting. Which was the one about as Republicans, would we be honest with you? I mean, now listen, people can say a lot of things about me, but I will be honest with you. And this is what I think is the funniest thing is I'm listening to what you're saying right now, and y'all are saying go to the left, and I'm reading the tea leaves wrong. And sure, it happens, right? But the tea leaves I'm reading are saying that the reason why y'all are winning in these states that y'all are winning is because they're ultra left state strongholds, right? Like these areas that have been like Democrat for a while. Yes, those places are going to vote more. They want to see the change, and so they're going to put forth these really progressive candidates, and they're going to be excited, and they want to like now is our time. The party's in disarray. We got to put these guys now. Okay, that makes sense to me. However, I think that the lesson you're learning is the wrong lesson, and I will be honest with you because I think that me telling you this, y'all are still not going to believe me, and then y'all are going to keep doing the same thing you're doing, and I think that's actually going to lead you astray, then I'm going to be like, haha, I have another point to say, I told you so. So I
Gibbs,
won't
I
lie
always
to you.
believe you. You told me that you wouldn't care if all the elders who got kicked off Social Security died, and you're very honest about
That's
that.
absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. It would be. It's a sad time. You can call me evil for that, but that's fine. But when I'm sitting here hearing these things, I'm going, okay, y'all are pushing this agenda, and you're going to move this way, and these guys, and I think the initial results are going to show the data that you think it does, right? It's going to be, these groups are all motivated. Yes, they're pushing these progressive leaders. Then you're going to come, I don't know about midterms, but you're going to come maybe to the next election, and y'all are going to be even more extreme, which is going to alienate the voters. Like, MAGA is actually a move left for the most of the right. Like, and I know y'all aren't going to probably agree with that, but for most of the right, like they're like, these are the progressives of the Republicans, right? They're not the the old school, like South will rise again guys. They're not the, extreme, like ultra conservative, like Christian nationalists, right? They're not the Texas nationalists. They're not like any of the neocons. This is a more left of the right. Like Trump was a 90s Democrat, and it's very
Being
popular.
on this left-right axis is so dumb.
Sure, I agree. It's definitely top down. It's a classist.
MAGA's more populist.
Yeah, popular. I agree.
But it's
I agree with you. It is. Well, I do.
obviously.
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree. It's top, like up down as well. It's like a populist thing. It's a classist thing. But when you're telling me these things like the progressive thing, that is a more populist way. But y'all are pushing a lot of these things. I'm just very surprised. This is the lesson y'all are learning. because I don't see the data reflecting that. I feel like the overall fact that overall donations are down, the fact people are waiting to see who comes out on top, and then the people that are winning are in the ultra left strongholds, and those are the progressives. That doesn't surprise me. I think y'all are taking this lesson and running with it. And I mean, for me, I'm happy about it because I don't know. It surprised me y'all are all on board with it. Like I don't know.
Well, Gibbs, what's your prescription? Hit us with what does the Democratic Party do?
Well, it's not Fetterman. I'll tell you that. That guy is not the answer. I can
Okay.
agree. I can agree with you on that.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll agree with Gibbs on that.
My attention.
listen, the guy's
I'll
got,
agree with Gibbs
yeah,
on
he's
that.
had a stroke. Like, no offense, I can make an Abbott joke. He's like, listen, he's not making it to the finish line on it, whatever. The point is, like, the guy's had a stroke. He's got no fucking like charisma at this point, right? Like,
He keeps saying he doesn't want to be there. It's genuinely sad.
yeah. I don't know. So it's definitely not him. Now, is his ideals and the right move? Maybe, but look at the guy y'all had. What was it, the Ohio governor? He was a little bit. I think he would have been a better choice than say
Talking about Kasich?
Kasich. Yeah, I think he would have been a choice than Walz. Personally, I think he's a little bit more moderate with still having the progressive chops. Kind of. I think that would be a good way where it's like you have the people background that y'all talked about, but you're also like tied kind of like not to the ultra progressives. Like I think maybe that Rust Belt kind of angle would be good. I feel like y'all should like definitely push some more progressive shit. Like the universal healthcare seems to be a really popular one.
Who would a Kasich
Buttigieg kind of comes to mind.
Who would that appeal to? What voter are we imagining that?
I mean, I'm
Kasich
thinking
as
you're
a
like
VP would appeal to?
you're like middle, like left, and like your independents. Like I talked to a lot of people that are like, we're not really Republicans, we're not really Dems, but like they're like, oh, we should absolutely have universal health care because we're America, right? Like we're the best, right? And like that didn't appeal to me,
well,
but
That's
that
not a
person
Kasich,
Kasich wouldn't
though,
appeal to. What I'm saying is
sure,
like the
but like a
the
Buttigieg it would.
neocon the neocon types who are still neocon
Well, they're not
now
going to vote
somehow.
for him.
They have already made their choice, right? Like they've already decided if they're like an anti-Trump Democrat / not voting, or if they've gotten on the Trump train and like compromised their values and don't care anymore, right? Like so those people have already picked. So I don't know who we're imagining that like a Kasich type like centrist
Buttigieg?
Republican.
What about a
not even
Buttigieg?
really a Republican anymore. Yeah, I mean, like Buttigieg, that's completely different.
I
You're
can
talking about different things because he's not a former Republican governor. He was
Yeah,
like,
but he's also not an ultra lefty,
always
like
been-
an extreme leftist, right?
No,
like
but like, I mean,
he's got a few.
that has
He's
other
got a
problems,
few,
right?
but like,
but
I
that's
think
about
Buttigieg
entirely
couldn't
different
win, yeah,
things.
pretty much exclusively because he's gay, and unfortunately, this country wouldn't accept a gay candidate. Like, we're just not there. And I'm not just saying that, although I am biased because I just spent 3 days in the Black Baptist South. So, yeah.
Yeah, his numbers with Black Democrats is zero, actually 0% in polls. Not a single.
Buttigieg? Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
He's popular among like white liberals and progressives and whatever, but actually 0% support among Black.
Yeah.
Democrats.
So that actually, it's funny. Socrates mentioned earlier that you would be a supportive of Buttigieg, right?
I think that he could be like one of the top people
Okay.
offered up. I'm not crazy about Buttigieg. I feel like he speaks very well. He's like
No, he does speak really well. Yeah, he went to Yale or some shit, right?
I'm not crazy about his like record. Like, what is he?
what
like
about
his
Roxas is
yeah.
saying Shapiro in the chat? Like, what do y'all think of Shapiro?
Shapiro is a good. Actually, Shapiro would be a
Shapiro's the
good
same as Fetterman.
pickup
It's
too.
the same deal. Like you're getting
I mean,
one
so
or the
I'm
other.
really glad that-
Well,
Fetterman,
but
I think,
Shapiro
is
didn't have a
solid.
stroke. I mean, I know that sounds like a dick, but the guy is clearly not the
Yeah.
same person anymore.
Bro, the Democratic Party had somebody that was brain dead in the office for 5 years.
mean,
They don't care
Yeah,
about
I guess they
stroke.
vote for anything at that point, right? Yeah, good point there.
Hold on. So
I mean, look,
progressive. Hold on. I got
I'm
this point I've been sitting on for
absolutely-
15 minutes. Give me a second. I got a point I've been sitting on before I move on.
They won't
Rib.
vote. I'm thrilled that they won't have anything to do with Shapiro because he could win.
So-
I'm absolutely thrilled that they
Go
they
ahead.
don't even consider.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, okay,
Go
so-
ahead, Tyler.
I'm looking at
second
2022
that.
data. In the House, there were 9 Democratic Socialists or Progressives or whatever in the squad. They got cut down to 5 in 2022. Progressive got crushed in primaries all over the country, but I'm looking more at the blue areas where they got crushed. New York, Dan Goldman beats out Mondaire Jones. Sean Patrick Maloney beats out Alexandria Bridges. You look at Illinois, right outside Chicago, several progressives lost their primary. I'm looking at primaries over the last 10 years. Progressives lose most of their primaries to moderates unless they're in a hard blue state. On top of that, we can look at other hard blue districts that have been rejecting progressive policy. In San Francisco, they voted out Chesa Boudin, who was the guy trying to do bail reform and whatnot, saying that he caused more crime. They kicked him out. Then 2 years later, they passed Prop 47, which repealed Prop 36, which repealed Prop 47, which was their law to a bunch of progressive policies in the law that to decriminalize certain things, try to get rid of cash bail and whatnot. Now they're trying a new cash bail system that I'm not 100% sure what it is, but the last
they had a big like pendulum swing cracking down on the soft on crime policies or the perceived stuff, which I mean I think even I might have voted for one of those, like, and I'm a progressive, because it was literally like, yeah, just let like shoplifters like
$1,000 or something
like
like
$1,000 just let them go, which was like this
crazy.
is why you saw people like just leaving their cars open during COVID, which was insane. But I don't know if you could attribute that to progressives, period, especially if these are not things that are being advocated for on the main stage by progressive candidates.
But Tyler's also ignoring what we talked about, like in Soypill. What I agree with is that you can have the super progressive policy, but also like change the way you talk about it and like put your least popular takes on the back burner, right? That like people obviously are going to disagree with, and just like, you know, mostly talk about the things that everyone pretty much agrees with, like
like saying
cost of everything, like just
saying trans surgery should be free actually pulls horribly, but saying I think all medical care should be free, and included in those is going to be trans healthcare, is really, really well pulling, and that's not a progressive shift. That's just a messaging.
Yes, you can obfuscate, you can message disingenuously all you want, but eventually you're going to be asked to direct. Yes, it is.
That's true.
To take your unpopular policies. Yes, it's obfuscation. To take your unpopular policy and bury them in the back and just not talk about them, but you're still going to do them anyways.
Tyler,
hold on.
Can I clarify this, Gibbs? Because Tyler, the point is
I want to ask a question.
Hey, my main policy is trans people, and that's the constituency I'm reaching out to. The reason they were speaking on those policies is because that is the forefront of the progressive movement of, hey, trans people are like, you know, this hot topic we need to be talking about and signaling to our base that we're with this, you know, pro-progressive movement. And now they're seeing that is not working as messaging. It's not lying to say, well, I'm not going to hyper-focus on that. It's, hey, I'm going to do policies that are going to help trans people. I'm just not going to specifically call them a trans policy because it's not one. Well, they're just part of a group that's going to be.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question.
You have people showing up at your rallies like AOC yelling, "Why don't you call it a genocide?" over and over and over again, because they're not messaging.
Well, let me ask this just for funsies.
This is what they're doing now.
So, hold on. Let me just you know, the advocate here, Soypill. Let me just ask you this. So, say I was going to present a bill. And we're going to call it, it's going to be the Gibb self-defense bill. And I want to give everybody the right to defend themselves with however they see fit necessary, right? So that on the surface, that sounds like, oh, they can own any guns, right? But in the background, that actually means I can now buy a howitzer or a Patriot missile system or like a nuke.
Hell yeah, brother.
Like now,
I think the better analogy would be,
would that not be obfuscating?
Self-defense bill, and you're like, I want everyone to be able to defend their house, and then I'm the reporter. I'm like, Gibbs, do you want trans people to be able to defend their house? And you'd be like, yeah. And then I'd be like, oh, so you're pro-trans?
No, it would be like, oh, Gibbs, you want everybody to defend your house, and then you turn, I go, yes, and then they go, do you want everybody to be able to own a nuke? And I go, yes. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the analogy I'm trying to make here. Like, that's equal.
So, and what you're going to see happen
for that. I know we all do need a CWIS for our front lawn.
Well, to be clear, I asked like Rokana, for example, this question. I said, like, how do you like promote these things that are not hyper focused on an identity group, but still not push them aside? And he's like, look, like if someone asks me, should, you know, trans people get healthcare, that he's just going to say, yeah, I think everyone should get healthcare. And that's just a much better resounding message than, you know, someone going out there and talking about, you know, a very specific marginalized group the entire time, because that signals to people, oh, what about me? That's unfortunately got to dumb it down and make it a more shotgun approach.
That's what Kamala Harris did, though. When she was asked about
she had like 3 months, and like you said, there are 10 years of her saying pro-trans things, and that's what's going to get blasted in the like super hyper paid for Trump ads.
But when she went into, they asked her, "What about men or trans women in women's spaces?" And what her answer was, "I'm going to follow the law," and that she didn't answer the question directly. People on one side said, "Look, she's not even talking about these issues as much as she's supposed to be," and then the other side said she's still for them. She never denounced them. So it's just taking them, it's not answering the question. It's hiding the answer. It's disingenuous. It's literally what disingenuous is.
Well,
obfuscating.
but that's also not what I'm advocating for. Saying I'm going to follow the law is okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's ambiguous. You're not actually giving position. Versus,
Yeah.
I think that these people deserve respect just like everyone else is probably what people are going to be shifting to. And like how that pans out legally and what policy, it'll depend on what thing they're talking about. But clearly, whatever Kamala did, she only had a couple months to scrap together some sort of like, how do I appeal to the most people in just 8 weeks or however many, 107 days, like. It's kind of a different ball game. Now they've got 3 years to figure it out. So
I feel like she would have won if she only had 50 days. It was her talking that ruined it for her.
that actually, unironically, might be the one thing I agree with you with, especially giving the polling like right after they announced her.
Fantastic rollout. Everything else when that was done.
Well,
But no, I'm just looking at all these fucking progressives have been trying and losing to moderate. And like these are all purple districts, purple states. Unless you just want to hold down blue states, lock down blue states with progressive, and have a minority in the Senate and House.
Let me ask this, all right? Because to the people that are more left than you here, I gave y'all my prescriptions, right? And y'all are sitting here going, no, we want the more progressives. I was like, okay, how do you see the pathway to victory? Do you see the pathway to victory being we need to rally the like these people are going to be more likely to vote, the ones that are left, and we can get a large enough percentage of these people to vote, or is it like what Tyler? I know Tyler and I've seen others present. Oh, is we need to move more to the middle, and we need to get these people that like are independents, yada yada. How do you see the pathway to victory working? Because Tyler's saying you're not going to win these other states, right? So what do you think is the pathway then?
I need to clarify, Gibbs, because first of all, I don't know about Socrates, and maybe Jonah has a different. I mean, just because he worked for Progressive Victory, might be a little more progressive than me. But I'm not saying we need to move more progressive. In fact, what I'm saying about this messaging stuff is actually what is going to be perceived as a rightward shift, even if the policies are not moving rightward. So it's not necessarily some sort of hey, we need to be more like Bernie. As much as I'm a Bernie supporter, yeah, clearly he's not doing as well in some of these purple areas. He didn't even win the primary. It's more of how do we change this messaging to be more encompassing to more voters? It's making it a little more populist because it's either countering the Trump populism or disambiguating the whole like identity politics thing that doesn't play as well in certain places. But that's not moving more progressive necessarily, even if they are on a shift to be more progressive. Also, I have to go in 5 minutes, so I don't know when we're.
Oh yeah, we're wrapping up right now. Actually, like let's give out closings here.
Well,
Thoughts. It's perfect
long,
time.
I think, yeah.
We're not long.
Yeah, I mean
7:30 to 9:30 is 2 hours, but perfect time.
Let me just ask a quick question. Would you guys rather have Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema or a minority in the Senate if you just had that binary?
Oh, the first one, obviously.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you need moderate.
Yeah,
Well,
no
okay,
shit. I don't think
so-
anyone. I'm sorry. Wait, nobody is saying that we don't need moderates, especially in Congress and purple districts and purple states. Like no shit. Obviously, I think for presidency, it's different in that you can have the vibes of like a populist left wing person, and that like won't necessarily hurt you as much as like a like boring centrist like would hurt you. Like someone who's like, say, Josh Shapiro is like turns out like Ron
He is
DeSantis,
fucking
he's like
boring.
say he just like super boring, no riz, no like, but like a great centrist, really productive guy and really well liked in his state. Doesn't fucking matter if you don't have the riz, if you don't have the people, like the young people that get behind you, and like the people who don't pay attention to politics to get behind you, then it doesn't matter. So you can have someone who has the like it factor, the riz to like actually get people caring, the people who don't pay attention to politics, and that person can have left wing populism as like their value and still be super progressive. And it won't matter. It won't turn off more people than it will appeal to.
It's true.
Let's just go ahead and give closings here since we got like 4 minutes left. Go ahead and closing thoughts and where to find your stuff. We can start with you, Jonah, since you just went here. Any final thoughts on that and where to find you and whatnot? Nope.
I think he just
hello,
disconnected
I'm
the
back.
very
All right, I'm back. I'm back.
Yeah.
You
Do
can't
you
go
want?
if you're
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. Did you want to give any final thoughts or where to find you and whatnot?
Yeah, sure. I'm not a content creator. I just do this for fun. But no, I think I listened to most of it before joining in. I think you guys surprisingly had some good takes on this kind of stuff. But yeah, basically people are waiting to see what Dems do, and I personally, as someone who did a lot of campaign fundraising, am not super worried about the current state of things. I would be worried if we got close to the election and it was still massive gaps between the fundraising. But I think overanalyzing it right now. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Soy Pill next. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jonah was feeding me talking points this entire time. I have no will of my own. I'm a Progressive Victory shill, which is directly funded by George Soros, and I love all the Jewish money that comes down. That's why there's no money in the DNC. No, obviously, I do think people need to shift away from certain policies. Unfortunately, that's going to be perceived as a right-wing shift. I just want to reach out to all my handy-dandy woke progressives and say, guys, don't worry. They don't not love you anymore. They just know they got to appeal to more people. And they did a really bad job of it in 2024. So you're going to see, I'm not worried about the funding, but you are going to see people start mentioning marginalized people a lot less because they want to appeal to more people, which is in the long run going to be a good thing because everyone will get more stuff. So I'm the Soy Pill. I make videos. Check me out.
All right, thank you so much, Socrates.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much for having me on this. And anybody who wants to chat more about this, like one-on-one, feel free to take me up. You can reach me at Socrates TV at Twitch, Real Socrates on YouTube. So there's an issue that I have a lot of the time, and it's really not your guys' fault that you're a little tripped up on this, because I would blame a lot of like online lefties. This kind of idea that like being further left means you just say more and more stupid kind of lefty sounding stuff. Right?
Like
and that's what
Palestine.
being more left. No, I mean that's a reasonable thing. But like the things that Mamdani pushed forward and ran on are lefty policies. And here's what they are. You can't afford rent. You need to pay rent. Everybody's stressed about rent every single month. How do you get to your work? You take the bus. The buses don't come. We need the buses to come. Where do you stop by on your way home from work? The grocery store. You can't afford groceries. We need to lower the cost of groceries. What are you doing? Like, what's happening while you're away? You're paying for childcare. Childcare is unaffordable. We need to lower the cost of childcare. These are really, really basic things that everybody deals with all the. Okay, not everybody has kids, right? Where everybody takes the bus, but in a metropolis, a lot of people take the bus. But these are things that people deal with constantly in their lives that are really, really, really impactful. And these are lefty solutions to say, some of these things, we're going to create some kind of public option. To do that, maybe we need to tax people who have more than enough money. Maybe that's a crazy thing to do, but people seem to like it. And people of all stripes seem to like it. You don't have to be some crazy, screaming at libs of TikTok, X account who's some online lefty to like that stuff. You don't have to be, biggest free Palestine person in the world to like that. But those are things that are lefty and they're really, really popular. And this idea that it's not lefty enough because you're not screaming at somebody or you're not like woke scolding, whatever, that just needs to die. Thank you.
All right,
Gibbs, I got to bounce. Sorry,
Thank you.
I can't hear
Oh, you
everyone,
be
but
good,
I'll watch it in the bottom.
You gotta go with. Thank you. Jake?
I'd just like to say, like, when it comes down to especially these Democratic-run cities, high crime rates is a big issue over there, as well as like a lot of these policies that they push out. It's the Democrats that really cause all these issues. The Democratic policies that cause many of these issues over there in New York, from LA to Detroit to many of these other Democrat-run areas, but yet they still vote in these individuals, and if they want to go more and more to the left, I don't see it to be any type of policies that can save you from all the issues that these Democratic-run cities have. Right? For example, the high rent rate that he just mentioned right here is usually common in these Democratic-run areas. So I think the solution for the Democratic Party is to go back to being a little bit more moderate. I think they needed to eliminate a lot of these progressives within the party. And I think that's the direction the Democratic Party needs to go in order for them to last. And trust you, me, bro, I hope you push these lefty progressive policies, man, because I think the only ones that win at the end of the day is us. So feel free to do that. I'm just giving you my honest recommendation. With that being said, I'm Jake Var. You can catch me on Project Veopod on YouTube. And thank you, Gibbs, for having me, man.
Oh, thanks for coming. Grid.
So there's a lot of cope from a couple of the folks tonight, which is fine. It's okay. The main reality is that the message that the Democrat Party puts off is no longer tasteful, I guess, or digestible by the public. I think that en masse, more and more people are moving to center and beyond, to conservative. And I think this is a symptom of how, when you keep pushing the envelope and you keep forcing things or appearing to force things down people's throats who just want to be left the fuck alone. And you forget that not everybody lives in a city like New York or wherever. There are consequences for that, and I think that the thing with New York City, or L.A. or San Francisco, any of those, they're all having the same problems, and those problems are all based on leftist liberal policies. They've never solved a single thing, and they're never going to. And I think that people have finally, after 20 years of ruination, they're tired of their property values falling. They're tired of having to find rent control because they can't afford to rent. They can't afford to buy. They sure as fuck can't afford to buy. And as far as the tax base goes, I'm unfortunately one of those people who Socrates, I think, thinks should pay more.
Yep.
And
He is.
and I don't want to pay anymore. I actually moved out of New York City. I had a loft in New York City, and we actually moved out of New York City into New Jersey because New York City income tax was an additional $36,000 a year on top of the $240,000 I paid the federal government, on top of the $80,000 I paid New York City or New York State. So, I don't know about you guys, but there's no fucking way anyone's ever going to convince me the federal government can spend over $250,000 of my money better than I can. And I think most people, especially people that can with means, are fleeing these cities, which is why they're having the very problems that Socrates outlined. Is that the money is fleeing the cities. Articles have been written on it, stories, all of that. At any rate, I represent the angry, gun-toting, meat-eating fucking people, and we're a small lobby, but we're powerful, and we're coming. We're welcoming all who come and just want to be left the fuck alone. You can find me at An Unreasonable Man on Twitch and YouTube, and I stream. I actually have a really regular streaming schedule, but it's going to be disrupted for at least the next week. So have fun. You guys come find me if you like what you heard. I was very quiet because I honestly, you guys were getting pretty far afield, and I just didn't care enough. So
and he'll be back tomorrow for our
yes, I will be back tomorrow.
Our gerrymandering panel. And last but not least, Tyler here.
All right, so I had this whole part about messaging that was going to go to Soy and Jonah, but they left, so I'll just kind of say it generally. You can only put so much lipstick on a fucking pig, and Gibbs will still fuck it anyways. So messaging changes are not going to make these things unpopular, any more popular than they actually are. And refusing to denounce them with a clear answer is going to let the other side set the narrative. Example being in 2024, Harris would not answer any questions on trans surgeries or anything like that. She wouldn't talk about her 2019 questionnaire answer about illegal immigrants getting prison surgeries for free and blah, blah, blah. She didn't answer any of it. She never spoke about it. That let Trump run the ad, she's for they, them, and talk about that questionnaire answer over and over and over and set the narrative for them. If you don't set your own narrative, you better be damn sure the other side is going to. That's why they need to be able to answer those questions clearly and distinctly and not just bury the answer. The two points that I didn't get out here is that Democrat donors, it is proven that they will withhold funding, like the $90 million trust that they withheld from giving to Biden until he stepped down as the nominee in 2024. As soon as he stepped down as the nominee, they gave that money to the next person in, which happened to be Harris, but they would have given it to anybody. I just don't think that the Dem Party is going to have a hard time getting things to stick to Trump, is the other one. There's a bunch of attacks I went through. Some of them are legitimate. Signalgate was a good point. There was a few of the good points in there, but they can't make anything really stick to him that's a direct critique of Trump. And he's still sitting higher than his approval rating in his first term at any point by like 2 points right now. So he's more popular than his first term by 5 to 7 million voters, depending on how you count those numbers. It tells me that like he's growing in support, no matter what people his bottom line is growing, no matter what people want to say. So and this is in the middle of him restructuring global trade. He's in the middle of a trade war with potentially, if you want, however you want to frame it, maybe 30 nations or maybe all 200. He's got deals working with apparently right now. So this is more to Sock. His points about Mondami, you kind of went through a lot of things he was talking about, a lot of problems he said. But when you started going through the prescriptions of what he wants to do, he just kind of said that he wants to solve them. What he wants to do is nationalize grocery stores and give them rent-free and tax-free buildings in order to sell groceries out of. That gives them a massive advantage over the free market. Anybody that owns a bodega or a small mom and pop store or likes the people that own one are going to see that as ruining it's going to destroy their business. You're not going to be able to buy 30-cent overpriced bologna when you can go down the street and get it without the tax cut and the rent cut factored out. Those are big factors in your bottom line that you have to earn back. So I see it as the state participating in the private market, and I see that as the state will always win, because even if they start losing on innovation, like with the post office, they're able to pass laws saying you can't compete with us on an even level. If you look into some of the shit they have with the post office and what UPS and FedEx are allowed to do, because it would put the post office out of business, they're not allowed to directly compete with it, so the state has an extra power. I think that invalidates it from being a market competitor. Either nationalize the whole fucking sector or leave it alone to the free markets. You cannot have the state as a competitor. It's just unfair for the people that make the rules to also be playing the game. So other things he wants to do is he wants to do rent freezes, and so that's what Harris was talking about with her price freezing as well. And he's talking about taxing billionaires more as well. And that just, makes some people move out. You get less tax revenue. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but there are some downsides to what he's proposing as well. But really, at the end of the day, the main things we talked about here are the Civil War. I brought up the economy, and everyone kind of agreed with it. We moved on. Isolation of donors, but we didn't really touch on too much. The Democratic Party had an honesty problem in 2024. It was like 60% of the voters for Kamala Harris felt like they were lied to about Joe Biden's age problems after the election. People were not happy with them on that regard. I feel like, again, the withholding the funding until they get some sort of concession, some sort of thing they want, it's going to happen. If we get to the midterm and that funding hasn't caught up, I will be shocked. If we get to the midterm and the Democrats don't absolutely crush the Republicans, I will be shocked. There's no way that Trump, even if he has a higher bottom line than he had at 46, 47%, it's still not the majority of the country, and the Dems have the higher propensity voter demographics on their side now. I could see them easily crushing in the midterms, even if they raise 50 million less or whatever, 10, 20% less. But there's no way that's going to keep up. We're just in the middle of a lot of situations that cause people to not donate as much right now. So.
All right. Well, thank you for that dissertation. I'm very proud of you, Tyler. That was.
I didn't realize that Fabian Liberty had written his exit.
I do. Did you? I don't know if y'all know this, but one time on Primes, because I was so sick of the long dissertation intros, I told Prime, I said, you were not going to interrupt me tonight when I do my intro, and you're not going to stop me. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and I fucking put up a 14-minute one just to let everybody understand how fucking terrible it was. But mine was entertaining. Everybody was laughing the whole time. So mine
it was entertaining.
Mine was at least fun to listen to. Other people will be droning on, giving old speeches. Also, on a quicker note, Tyler, we will be having another panel tomorrow. Give me a break is back again. We're going to be talking about redistricting, legal immigration in the census, counting towards electoral votes, and other related dirty tactics used by the right and left. It's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be fun. We got some good people on there that have been involved with the redistricting process, so I am excited to go into that. In fact, my favorite meme is going to become apparent again, which is the black African guy saying, if corruption is not in it kind of thing, I will go fight it. But if I'm in it, I will defend it. That's kind of how I feel about this. Yeah.
Can I point out that there were 2 white male panelists telling a person of color down here, a Hispanic person of color, how to properly pronounce English earlier? And I found that abhorrently racist.
Yeah, I mean, I get
Very
told.
racist
Well, you know what's really racist is I'm Hispanic as well, and I get told that I can't pronounce any words in English all the time. So, racism or just they're calling me a drunk? I don't know, but I'm going to go with racism because that's what
I'm going to go with racism as well.
That's what the lefties taught me, right? So yeah, we're going to be doing that, and tomorrow at 7:30, it's going to be exciting. Then probably on Grids on Friday. Grids. That's your thing,
Well, I
Friday?
will be. I will be in. I think. Well, I
No
will
show.
Be
You don't have your show?
I'm gonna be in. I'm being. Wherever the fuck that is. It's not. It's not in Chicago. It's actually in.
All right, well, useless about the Friday thing. We'll figure out new Friday plans. But
we'll figure
on
out the
more
Friday
important
thing.
notes, I will be at DebateCon with Grid. We're going to be doing stuff. I've booked my hotel and
Yes.
shit. So I'll be there, and
It's
we're
gonna
going to
be
be I'm going to be yelling at people, and it's going to be fun. And exciting things coming up. Our friend Kel is going to be going back on whatever soon. That's exciting. So that's good as well. So all the people in the community going up. It's exciting. If you like all our content, make sure you throw people follows, subs, whatever the fuck it is you do on all the other channels. That's what we want. We want those things. Give them to us now. We're dirty capitalists. Thanks to all my guests for being here. In about 15, 20 minutes, I'll be live again. We're going to be doing something else, not politics related. But in the interim, we're going to raid a person I've known over 10 years, a comedian that's been on Comedy Central. Go check out my buddy, Your New Dad. He has one of the coolest streams on Twitch. This motherfucker has AI using for everything, and he's been teaching me all sorts of things that hopefully the AI overlords will appreciate whenever they take over. So we're gonna be raiding out to him, and that's gonna be all. Anything else, guys? Y'all want to say before we leave?
No, thank you so much.
All right,
It was
thank
a lot of fun.
y'all for being here. It was great. It's fun times. Good panel.
Yeah.
And great. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right.
Take
Have
care.
a good one.
Have a
guys.
good one. Bye.
Did you just make? Oh, damn! He left. Did he just make that? That's pretty rad, actually.
What?
In the back.
Make what?
In the back chat on Discord.
Yeah, let me go look.
I don't even know where the back check's at on Discord.
Oh, maybe.
I have to.
I don't think he did. I think you could just Google that. That's smog. Bro.
Yeah.
You know smog?
Yeah, but I mean.